guards that guard people.
No.
I'm sure why they're called guards anymore is because of something else, because they don't guard anything. They just be out there running around. There's the 1 and the 2. That's what we call them, the 1 and the 2. They're not even the guards. They just run around.
The model in the one year they went to the conference finals with this, like, they had the mixture of what you have Dame and CJ, but you also have Mo Harkless and Aminu guarding.
Right.
You didn't even have Nurkic because he got injured right before that. Somehow they got to the conference finals starting Enes Kanter.
Kanter's not a bad player. He's a weird human being, but he's not a bad player. He's a two-trick pony. Yeah, he's a two-trick pony. His defense is he's just strong. He's just very strong.
He gets rebounds,
just like ridiculously strong.
And he's got great footwork and finishing in the post.
On offense.
Yeah.
On defense, he's just strong. And if you try and like bowl past him, you'll lose. So that's what he was good at.
A center rotation of Enes Kanter and Myers Leonard. The Blazers went to the conference finals.
Myers Leonard.
Like, in retrospect, when you look at oh man. Tough times, but
also,
can we just talk about how Myers Leonard I never got any of the flack that Kyrie did?
Also that
despite doing something way worse. Way worse.
No, but that's because that's right, because I saw you engaging with fucking Dwight James of all fucking people.
I didn't even know who that guy was. I was like, you're in sports media.
That's Mr. Jailblazers. Like, for real. Like, that's the guy.
It's always a proxy war for racism.
And he's in any story where like Myers Leonard or anyone on that line is in the news, Dwight James is coming out of the woodwork every time. It's fucking clockwork.
The Blazers should just listen to me when I tell them to keep certain players. They don't have to draft who I tell them to draft. They don't have to run who I tell them to run. But they should listen to me when I tell them to keep certain players. They should have kept my boy. Now I forgot his name because we said Myers Leonard, but Zach. They should have kept Zach Collins. Should have kept Zach Collins. He's a baller. And they should have kept Josh Hart. Although I'm happy we didn't.
Like,
I know he was struggling a little bit with the offense because it's geared around getting someone else shots the entire time, and he's not really allowed to shoot. But people get mad because he doesn't shoot, but he's not allowed to. But
they had him playing at the 3
at 6'4".
Yeah, which was ridiculous.
Yeah,
and yeah, like you said, they wouldn't let him shoot.
And when he did shoot, he was like coming off the bench for no reason. He should have been starting, and he should have been a key part of their offensive scheme, not the shooting, but the scheme.
He was starting, but again,
getting pulled in 5 minutes.
If you're going to put him at the 3, and your guards, especially defensively, are Dame and Ant,
right?
That shit isn't going to work.
Right? How is he going to show off his defense when he has to guard everybody?
He was getting, and to his credit, he was getting like 8 boards a game at 6'4".
He was,
which is again,
and like 4 assists.
If you're not Russell Westbrook, that's kind of
if you have a guy that's averaging 8 and 4 as a guy that's not supposed to be scoring, like 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and then getting like 10 points a game, you should be very happy.
He was like when he got traded here last season, he had a 40 piece. Like, he can score.
Yeah. But you have to actually give him a light. He didn't have a green light. It's like he couldn't shoot. He didn't have a green light. So when he shot, he was shooting out of rhythm. He was shooting in weird positions, and he wasn't in his spots. But like, if you look at that, it was like, oh well, he got things got way better. No, he went to the Knicks and they utilized him in the way that he needs to be utilized, and that's what I think is an important thing too. I'm not going to knock on Chauncey that much because I know that his directive is to lose, but it's kind of weird when you just don't play players the way that you know that they play. It's like if the Knicks would have got Brunson and been like, hey, act like Quickly. That's not what he does.
Y'all are good to go.
All right.
Okay.
It's time.
Oh, man.
I did also record a lot of that first half conversation.
Of course you did. The mic's always on.
Okay. Well, main camera?
Yes, that's main camera.
Okay. Welcome back to the Bruce Poinsette Show. This is the world's most dangerous infomercial. I have a guest you may have seen once or twice on here in studio, Mr. Max Smiff.
Yo.
And usually we're talking political machinations, but today we have serious topics such as sports and clickbait rap media lists.
We talk about ball.
But one of the things that I discovered recently, a great great innovation in sports, we'll call it that, is Cameron and Mace have a sports talk show right now, and it's what I didn't know I needed.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, like it's called It Is What It Is. It's got the full studio setup, and if you would ask yourself, do I want to see Cameron and Mace just doing the sports talk TV thing and everything I expect from that? It is.
So a quick Mac fact. I went to college with Mace.
Huh.
When I was at Morehouse, he was actually at Clark Atlanta, and he used to get his car attacked all the time because he was rich and we were not. So we were eating the rich even back then.
Nice. Yeah, like even with, and again, it's like the exact same subjects of, you know, if you're watching, was it like First Take or was it First Things First or that other show with the skeleton guy that I'm not going to name on here.
Skeleton guy.
And Shannon Sharp trying his best. God bless his soul. But no, even stuff that, I'll be honest with you, stuff I probably wouldn't condone on other things I consume, such as, you know, Andrew Wiggins has been in the news with his, why he hasn't been with the Warriors all season. If Chris Broussard was cracking jokes on it on TV, would I be with it? Probably not.
He's not funny though.
But if it's Mace with a gavel, gold.
Also, Cameron is just an absolute ham. Like, you really can't, like, there's no one that like really like encapsulates like the aura of like a Knicks fan publicly these days the way that he does. He's like, you know, he's like Michael Rappaport, but he's black. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's valid. So I definitely respect that. And also, he played college ball as well. Right. So although I did see him saying that he could take Chalmers one-on-one.
Yep.
And people have been posting videos of him playing basketball, and it does not appear to be true. I don't think he's got a chance, but I would definitely put money on it.
And that's it. That's the other part of the show. As someone who respects quality marketing, like if you're Cam, you're Mace, and you're selling more streams, this is a good way.
Yeah. If
you got new projects coming out, this is a good way. Also, they sell dick pills at the end of every clip, which is...
Do they really?
Yep, it's called like Pink Power Horse or something. I can't actually describe the ridiculousness of these ads because, again, full ham on those too.
They got bodega ads. They got the bodega pills on the ads. That's wild.
But on a slightly serious like media note, I think it's just interesting because sort of like the formula, right, is if you want to give someone a new idea or sell your product or whatever, you hook them in with something familiar.
Yeah.
So it's Cam and Mace doing sports talk TV that we're all doing, watching, consuming,
right, or
reacting to people reacting to. And they got you. Like,
for sure.
And there's a whole generation of people, like, you know, I was in high school in the mid-2000s who are now going to understand Cam and Mace in a very different, or in like a whole new way. Like, same way Frank got me watching Oz now, and I have a whole new appreciation for the Allstate commercial mayhem guy.
So, I mean, that's real, though. I mean, I feel this same way about a lot of stuff. Like, even like Joe Budden, you know, like people talk about him as like an influencer. I'm like, he's a rapper? I don't understand why you guys are listening to what he has to say about other rappers. It's kind of weird. But, you know, reinvention is strange. I was talking to my kid about the T.I., and he never knew that he was a rapper. He just knew him as a meme. He's the guy that uses the big words all the time, and I was like, no, he's a rapper, bro. What are you talking about? He's like, he was, but he was like a real house husband or whatever. I'm like, no, he's actually a whole rap god from back in the day, and he didn't even believe. I had to put it on the car. He didn't believe me.
I went like, that's amazing to me, but then I'm also like,
that was
90s. Paper Trail was a while ago, wasn't it?
That was like 2003 or something. So
yeah, but with that, I forgot exactly how it came up, but like I feel like I posted something. You were just like, so Bruce, when we get in a sports show, it was like, you know what? Let's just get in the studio and talk some shit about sports, see what happens.
I mean, I feel like, why not? Let's just do it. If they can do it, we can do it. If Cam and Mace can talk sports, then Bruce and Matt can talk sports.
Exactly, and it is topical right now. the Blazers season is almost coming to a merciful end. So there's that. And the Knicks are in the first round. And you know what? We're going to start here because we need arguments.
We talk about the Knicks now, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
Knicks are going against the Cavs in the first round.
Gonna beat the Cavs in the first round. Yep.
You know, resident Knicks fan in the building.
Absolutely. No shame in my game.
And, you know, I'm just gonna, bring some basketball analysis that you can debate with it if you want.
It better be positive, Bruce. So I gotta say, it better be positive analysis.
Oh, it's not going to be.
Okay. What we got? You the boss.
Knicks on the road against the Cavs, first round.
Easy money.
How many games for the Knicks? Because I got two feel-good stories of the year that are going to get crushed in the first round of the playoffs. One is the Kings. It's happening. I don't care if they face the Clippers, they face the Warriors, maybe even the Lakers. People, not just are they going to get beaten, there will be a TikTok trend at some point. People have like flashlights or something and they are stomping on it saying F the beam.
Whoa.
It's going to happen.
My man is doubting the Kings. I mean, I'm just gonna bring it back to the Knicks. What do you mean how long is it gonna be? The Knicks are definitely, I feel like they've got it in 5. I feel like they've got it in 5. Maybe 6 if Donovan has like a 70-point night or something. But I don't think that's going to happen because the Knicks play extremely physically and they play great defense. If you look at what the analysts have been saying, honestly, they're saying that any team that plays against the Knicks is probably, even if they win, it's probably going to lose in the next round because the Knicks are that physical. They really play like a 90s team on defense and on offense. Like they run into you on purpose. If you watch the game when they came here and played against Dame and the Blazers and demolished them, it was really a matter of like the guards and the bigs just making contact unnecessarily constantly against guys that don't like contact. And that's what and the Cavs are not a physical team like that. I don't think that they have the same energy to take on
the same Cavs, the number 1 defense in the league.
But physically, are they going to deal with all that body? There's a lot of body on the Knicks.
So before we start rolling, one of the players you talked about who we're having a conversation like, who should the Blazers keep? You mentioned Zach Collins.
Yeah,
I'm going to use this example because the one time the Blazers went to the conference finals, they were going against Paul Millsap, killing Al Farouk Aminu, killing everybody. And then game 6, Terry Stotts like, why did I put Zach Collins in like year 2 on Paul Millsap?
Yep.
It shouldn't have worked.
But it worked.
And I predict like Julius Randle at this stage is better than Paul Millsap was in 2019.
Way better.
But also, I got to see Julius Randle not just like be big in the playoffs, but be big against size. He's got Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Their only goal for that playoffs is going to be like Zach Collins, just stop Julius Randle.
The thing is that's not enough though. The Knicks are not a one-trick pony. They have 2 guys are like legit all-stars, right? In Brunson and in Randle.
Yeah.
But any night, Quickly can give you 40. He's done it multiple times this season already. Who else can do it? A Josh Hart can give you 20 or 30 points a game plus like 10, 15 rebounds on a hot one. You've got who else is over there? You've got the center. You've got my mind going nuts. Big boy Mitch Robinson. He's a big. If he gets going, he's bigger than Allen. He blocks as many shots. He's also a tough guy.
Wasn't Allen an all-star last year?
He was, and Mitch was not. But Mitch is still bigger.
Okay. He's
still a bigger body. He's still down there banging constantly, and he gets a lot of rebounds and blocks a lot of shots. So, and on offense, you got Obi Toppin. He can get off. He's hitting threes now all season. He's catching alley-oop dunks. He's doing East Bays in games.
Those last 2, yes, but we'll see if those 3 stay. I'm
just saying, who won the Cavs is going to give us all of this trouble. And Darius you still have Brunson, and no one can guard Brunson.
Like, Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Dropped 50 twice in the playoff series very recently.
He's got a 72-point game, right? 71 point
10 assists.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Great game.
71 and 10.
Great game.
Against the Knicks.
Who?
Was that against the Knicks?
Was it against the Knicks? Because we beat the Cavaliers 3 times this season.
Was that against the Knicks or was that against the Mavs? I forget.
It wasn't against us. Not this time, buddy.
Okay. No. Got to keep the facts together. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Darius Garland, I think he's had multiple 40s this year.
Garland's
had
a good
50.
player. Garland's a good player. They have a good starting 5, but the Knicks have a top 9. They're tough.
I'll say this, though, about saying, like, even if you play the Knicks and win and you won't win in the second round, I mean, I agree, but not because of the Knicks, because the next round you'd be playing Milwaukee. So who's kind of going to win it all while we're on here on predictions?
I mean, the teams are saying that they don't want to play the Knicks in the first round. All the teams are saying that because the Knicks are an upset-worthy team. They've beat the Celtics on multiple occasions. They've beat Philly on multiple occasions. They've beat the Cavs at 3 out of 4. They beat Miami at home and in New York.
Miami this year is a mess, but
New York has the second best record in the NBA since the All-Star break.
Like I said,
they're hot.
There's 2 feel-good stories.
They're hot and they're healthy.
Are probably coming to a crashing end.
Oh yeah, somebody's season has to go down, and I'm gonna go ahead and bet on Cleveland because they don't have LeBron James, bro. And Cleveland has never won anything without LeBron James.
See, now you're trying to put me in the position of just rocking for Cleveland. I still got the Knicks losing, but I will say this because you talk about, when they were physical that other year too, when they ran into, the king of physicality, Trae Young. How did that work out? I
mean, they didn't have multiple All-Stars. They didn't have the team they have now. The team as constructed currently, they don't have weak links like that. They don't have I don't know who I'm going to say. They don't have any weak players. All their players are solid. Even their backup centers are solid. And that's a big deal. I mean, if you get guys that are going in there and going against anyone's getting highlight reels, it's just excellent team basketball. And I don't see, sure, you can say that Donovan has been scoring his mind out, and that's great. But the Knicks are playing such excellent pass defense, such excellent lane defense, and just bumping players so much. And Donovan is not all that physical. He's athletic, but he is not really one to sit there and grind it out with guys. And these guys are definitely going to put a focus on grinding out with him. Josh Hart on Donovan is definitely going to see is going to be must-see TV, and there's just no question about that. He held Durant to 14 points as they were playing in a game. So and they smacked the Nets. So and Phoenix.
So here's the thing. I'll pull my it is what it is mace here. Julius Randle, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. I love you. I mean nothing by this. Does anyone have a gavel? You in that too? But I really do like some of the pieces there. I like some of the players a lot. I'm just keep coming back to that side.
And who's coaching the Cavs now? Who's coaching the Cavs?
Oh, I actually don't know.
No, either.
Wait. No, I don't know. But here's the thing. It really does come back to Randall. Again, Julius Randle, I actually really like your game. Anytime you want to run away from New York and come to Portland for some inexplicable reason.
He's not going to Portland, bro. Quit playing.
No one's going to do that, but you know what?
Y'all had y'all chance to have him, and y'all did not bite. So,
Again, it's not going to happen, but I'd spend way too much time on Blazer Twitter, which is a hellscape of terrible ideas upon terrible ideas.
It is.
I think it's like USA basketball this week. So
y'all could have had Josh Hart, but y'all let him go for a draft pick, and you're welcome.
Hey,
because the Knicks being so good is getting the Blazers an extra draft pick. So
So that's how we're going to transition to this next subject, which is the Blazers. So we gotta have a prediction since it's a sports show. So Cavs in 6,
Knicks in 5.
Okay. So to the Blazers and the year it has been.
Dumpster fire.
Hey, the tanking has gotten amazing. Sunday. No, not Sunday. Wednesday, Tuesday, whenever they're playing the Grizzlies with Shaedon Sharpe, Drew Eubanks, Jabari Walker, and all two-way players against the healthy Grizzlies made it. It was competitive enough where Chauncey's just like, yeah, we're just going to sit Shaedon Sharpe for the last 5 minutes. We do not want to have any repeats of, because they actually beat Minnesota.
Minnesota situation was wild. That missed layup was wild.
This is not to segue or not to
flop off,
do a complete departure from the stuff, but just like that last like 2 weeks of the NBA. Like, did you see that Philly Boston game, or at least the end of it? Like last night, the day before? Philly's up 7 with like 15 seconds to go. They foul Marcus Smart on and one layup with 5 seconds. He misses it, throws it back to Derek White, who hits a 3, initially gets called a foul too. So it should have been a 4-point play. They overturn it because he's kicking his leg out, whatever. Then all I have to do is inbound the ball with 2 seconds left, hit the free throws, game over, right? Somehow Joel Embiid manages to get an offensive foul on that play. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the only reason Boston doesn't go to overtime or get that win is because they just run a terrible set. We're just hey, let's have Jason Tatum just run out, not even to the 3, but just like to the mid-range baseline with 2 guys on him and just throw something up. But whatever. Anyways, a lot of, last week of the NBA, the tank race / playoff positioning, you get a lot of those. I was listening to something the other day talking about the Blazers have back-to-backs with Golden State and the Clippers, 2 teams who will possibly destroy the Kings in the first round. And it's like, to predict what tanking and shenanigans are going to happen when everyone involved wants to lose.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Tanking's just really bad for basketball. It's gotten really ugly. They got to find a way to, incentivize teams to not tank. The tank offs can be tough to watch when you're watching teams like, when Portland goes against like Houston or something. It's just like both teams are like throwing their worst players in for 30 minutes a game. So you can just watch, Drew Eubanks try and dunk on people with no handle. It's just...
Troutdale's own Shaq of Troutdale.
I'm put like this. If I had to play Drew Eubanks, he beat me like 21-0, I'm sure. But when he's in the NBA, that boy look different. And he plays great ball. Like I actually enjoy his game and what he does, but it's a very simplistic kind of game. And he's not about to sit here and impact huge wins. And so if you're putting guys like him, I mean, Skylar Mays is like the best player on the Blazers right now, him and Shaedon Sharpe, and that's saying a lot. It's saying a lot, But anybody can, if you're sitting here playing, these scrub games, I feel like anybody can go out there and get 30 a game. Yeah. Anybody can. If the offense is, especially in the way that the Blazers' offense is set, it's always set for, a certain guard to get as many shots as they want. So if you put any guard in that slot, you can up their value. So I think the Blazers are really just trying to show off a bunch of players and really trying to build value in their team, in their teammates, so they can make a couple of trades, in the offseason or whatever. So I can respect it to a degree, but I feel like the Blazers could have been in the playoffs this year, even if they couldn't have won.
Yeah.
And so it's frustrating to watch a team that really I feel like is better than the Lakers sitting here losing when we could have been at least in the play-in. There's really no question about it. We've lost games that didn't make any sense on purpose, and if we hadn't, we'd still be in the picture. So they're not, competing, and that's frustrating, I think, as a Blazer fan to just watch a team just not compete.
You talk about incentives, right? And part of me is like, yeah, tanking is not, on some levels, like, it is cool for, like, any, guy who's like, like a 2-way contract, like some of these guys who are they're getting themselves paid. Like, I'll take the flip side of what's his name? He used to play for Dallas, Yogi something. When he dropped 40 against Dame, Yogi Ferrell. When he dropped 40 against Dame, he got paid, and like that does happen in this. But also, you have the flip side where I was reading like Matisse Thybulle, because he just sat the last game, doesn't qualify as a starter for his extension in the summer. So it's also those machinations. Right. But as far as like the incentive not to do it, I just think of like, when you talk about like for the good of the game, and I'm like, so remember that year San Antonio just sat David Robinson for even longer because they knew Tim Duncan was coming?
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Yeah. It's like, it's a,
I mean, look at Philly. Philly had like a 7-win season or something because they did, was it 12 wins they had that year or whatever, because they were looking to get, all these draft picks.
They got karma though.
And so
I love it because they had Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, JJ Redick's best scoring season of his career, despite the fact that it was last, and, Ben Simmons in his prime, which is weird to say because Ben Simmons is how old? But anyways, and Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons, if you're watching, we love you. It's all right.
No, we don't. Let's not play around.
I'm going to keep doing the mace. No. Ben Simmons, if you're watching. No. And then somehow they chose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, and they get what they get. It's
Tobias Harris is a baller, though. He's no Jimmy Butler, though. He's no Jimmy Butler, though. He's a baller, but he's no Jimmy Butler, though.
Like that decision.
But Jimmy Butler also needs to be on a certain kind of team to really be helpful. Otherwise, he's probably a bigger distraction than anything else. He's kind of like Kyrie in that way. Like if you stick him in the right place, he'll work fine. You stick him in the wrong place, and Cat's not happy.
Allegedly, because it's funny, I've just been like following some of the Miami media stuff talking about Jimmy Butler this year. The big stories like he blasts Nickelback in the locker room after losses and stuff like that.
After losses. Appropriate.
I mean, that was kind of like one of the more cheeky, like, some people may not like that. There was some other stuff from when he was with the Wolves that was a little less cheeky. But so I understand people like, he's hard to work with. Yeah, maybe.
The thing is, he is too, he's a black man in the NBA. He's one of those just the unapologetic black man in the NBA who understands that he's here as a commodity.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be who he wants to be because at the end of the day, his talent allows him to be who he wants to be. And I actually like those kind of players. They mean a lot to me. I think it's special. And I think it's dope that you can kind of decide your destiny and get to the team that you want to be on or the kind of team that you want to be on. A team like Miami that stresses like working out, being in shape, being able to run 40 in practice, all this kind of stuff, body fat measurements. That's like what he wanted. When he was in was it Minnesota?
Yeah.
Complaining about how Cat is lazy and everyone's lazy. I'm sure Miami was like, yeah, that's our guy. That's the guy we need. A guy that is going to come here and act like Bam.
To go to the final, even if it's everyone's like it's the bubble. No, he took a team, a 5 seed that no one in the world saw to the finals on that. Just
with the pure anger and disgust for everyone else's playing ability. So I totally, and a cold mid-range game. So I definitely, I like guys like a Jimmy that, bark it out and talk, and back it up for sure.
As a delusional Blazer fan, I know this isn't happening. I know Jimmy Butler's not coming to Portland. Don't calm down, everyone. But
show ain't.
Whenever I just watch teams like, because you see these stories leaking out about, Nickelback and all this stuff. It's like, okay, someone's trying to, or no, the other one was like saying Donovan Mitchell allegedly wanted to come to Miami, but to play with Bam and not Jimmy or something. And like, why would people be leaking these stories except to try and like push him out? And like, that sucks. But also, could it work for the Blazers? And again, I know it won't. But
the Blazers need to pick up Luka. I don't know why they're playing games about it. I mean, Lucas should not be happy. He's running from the grind out there in Dallas. They're not going to go anywhere. He needs to go ahead and leave the team and join a team that actually wants him.
I agree with you.
All these players are important. I mean, isn't his contract going to be up soon? Isn't he running out soon? He could have made a trade. He could complain that Kyrie Irving is racist to him in the locker room and force a trade. He could do something. He could make a move.
Look, I'm just saying. I love this energy because you're like raising it up. I'm going for like Jimmy Butler and a potentially contentious situation.
The Blazers don't need a defensive player who's going to argue with Dame over who's the best. They need Luka.
Also, you just said the word defense, and I was like, he
barely speaks English. He plays no D. He fits in perfect here.
So it's fair. It's a fair analysis. But look, I'm just saying, like, again, as someone who spends way too much time on Blazer Twitter, so I've seen the floor / the floor that doesn't exist. There was a point in the season where people were like, well, they're trying to trade Jared Vanderbilt. He could change our whole season. It's like,
let me ask you a question though. Let's switch it up. What do you think about? Because I got in trouble for this already on Twitter, but what do you think about Shaden Sharp being untouchable? Do you agree or do you disagree?
So there was a game a couple weeks ago, because the tank has been on, where they spent extended time in the third quarter comparing Shaden Sharp to Kobe. And hey, in Kobe's rookie season, he only averaged 8 points a game. It's very similar.
It's true. It's true.
But I'm just saying, so here's the thing.
He was also playing behind an all-star guard.
I mean, but this is sports talk. We don't remember, even though Eddie Jones was a bad
It was actually
man.
Rick Fox that was starting.
What's his name?
Eddie Jones started at the 2. Kobe was a 3. At the beginning and end of his career, he was a 3.
That's right.
Only in the middle did he actually play a shooting guard.
Because I remember first year he was an all-star. It was Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones, Kobe Bryant, Shaq. Yeah. He's
a forward.
But I'm just saying with like Shaden, he's amazing prospect.
Talented as hell.
I love just like some of the like more subtle parts of his game that he's developing in this. And he's shown just by that Minnesota game, by the fact that Chauncey was like, yeah, I'm not going to play you for the last 5 minutes against Memphis because you might mess around and win another one. Mm-hmm. So he's got it. But also, people jump the gun with all these things. Like, you're like, well, he's easily going to usurp Ant. Ant had a 40-piece his rookie year. No one remembers that, but like that did happen. Has Shaden done that?
So I think that Shaden and Ant are kind of the same player, in my mind. I feel like they're both extremely talented at very young ages, and I think that they both have extreme hops. They can both shoot the ball. I think that Ant's a bit of a better shooter, and Shaden's a bit of a better dunker, although he hasn't been to dunk contest yet like Ant has. So obviously Ant can also jump. I also think he's a little bit bigger than Ant. He's got a little bit more body. You know what I mean? I'm not sure he's as long, but he's got a big body. So he's a little bit bigger than Ant in that regard. He could actually even probably play like a small forward if he wanted to. But I'm not sure he'd really be great at the point, because I'm not sure his ball handling is at that level.
But untouchable?
But untouchable, I think is wild. But then again, it's like the whole Blazer fan thing. Like I saw a thing and people were saying that, and they were asking, would you trade Ant for DeMar DeRozan? And people were like, no. And I'm like, you wouldn't trade Ant for DeMar DeRozan, bro? This guy is like a generational talent who's ready now. Ant's a guy who is like, we've been on the fence about for years. So I'm like, if you're trying to win, why would, like, well, he's just older. And I'm like, this idea of like keeping all these young players as if like we're going to be able to keep them all is kind of wild to me. Like you can't keep all the players who are young and have a high ceiling. You know what I mean? You have to send some of them off for players that can actually impact winning now.
Yes. I mean, I'll agree with you as far as like, no, he's absolutely, Shaden's not untouchable by any stretch of the imagination. It's like, I feel like a lot of this is really my ire with Blazers Twitter, which I keep going to, so I'm part of the problem. But it's just, again, you got Ant and Dame. You know, probably go as far as they can go. It's probably not as far as Ant or Dame and CJ went, because as much potential. Because that's the other thing when we look at potential. Like you can look at Ant and say, well, look at what he was doing at 19 versus, CJ, who was obviously at Lehigh at the time. But like, something like maybe CJ isn't, I don't know, the like.
Maybe going to college and learning how to play basketball actually helps players win in the NBA. Might be a thing. Could be wrong. Could be totally wrong. But I feel like, perhaps, those learning years actually help players get better. And Shaden Sharp's not really getting like a real learning year. I feel like he's being thrust into the fire, and like people are like, it's okay to lose. I'm just not sure how that's going to impact his career going forward, especially as a Trailblazer. Where like Philly dealt with that, where like losing just became a culture and became an okay thing. It took them a while to really dig out of that situation. They had a whole guy that like forgot how to shoot, didn't he? Like had to get like mental health situations going on to get his
shout
like,
out to
together.
Markelle Fultz who's
playing great now.
Yeah, I got a friend who's a big Magic fan for no discernible reason whatsoever. So I hope you're watching this and heard that part. But yeah, shout out to Markelle Fultz for turning it around. But no, with the Blazers, it's like as bad as it is, I feel like people don't realize how good this is for a bad situation, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's entertaining at the very least.
Because like people want, people are like, well, should we just trade Dame away and, rebuild? And it's like, this isn't Miami. This isn't Los Angeles. This isn't places where people want to go. Rebuilding is going to look a lot more like rebuilding in OKC than it looks in those places if you do it. And the Blazers actually, no one really talks about this, but when LaMarcus left, that was actually a rebuild that was like the once in a lifetime rebuild that actually went well because Dame turned out to be that guy. Betting on that happening again is ridiculous.
And also a CJ who no one expected to become that guy became that guy. No one saw the CJ thing coming. Like literally no one thought he was going to be a 25 point a game player for seasons to come. We thought he might be like a, 15 and 6 kind of guy, but we didn't think he was going to become a 25 and 6 kind of guy. That's a whole different caliber of player. Plus, he actually plays a little bit of defense.
Also, a legitimate intangibles leader.
He's a leader. He's an actual team leader. So those things, we definitely got lucky. Nurkic worked out in that time. The players that we got, we had a bunch of athletic wings at the time who were doing good things. I would love to see a Shaden and Watford and all these guys come out and become the guys that we hope that they could be. But the reality is you got to trade for somebody if you want to compete in the next couple of years. If we just plan on tanking for the next couple of seasons and trying to get, Wembyana this year and Caitlin Clark the next year, whoever we're going to try to pick up, we have to really think about how are we going to survive this next year? Because just being a losing team is not really a Portland thing. That's not something that we're really used to. Just being a team that just loses and doesn't compete. And I think that has a long-term effect on players. And Dame doesn't have that much longer left to be in his prime, at least. He'll be a shooter probably for a long time, but to be in his prime like he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like a lot of sports science, a lot of just evolution of athletes is rewriting this, but betting on this to just keep continuing, it's just not it. I'll say with you even say picking up a player, because this year you got to trade for Jeremy Grant, and it's wow, a guy who is a scorer and plays defense at the wing can give you 20.
But is he even playing to his potential, or has he this season for us? I'm not sure he did. I'm not sure he did.
When he was hitting, he was shooting and granted, no one shoots 50% from 3 for the entire season.
Right. Facts.
But when he was doing that, and being the focal point of the defense for most of the nights, it was I don't know what more you can ask from him in that position, especially playing at the 4 with Josh Hart at the 3 and Anton Dame.
But don't you kind of think, though, that the Blazers' offense doesn't really give guys like Jeremy Grant a real chance to, a really shine? If you're not, if you're a Trailblazer, a big, and you're not getting offensive boards, do you really get all that many shots at the basket? And even if you get offensive boards, are you supposed to pass it back out for another shot? Because that's kind of how they run.
In the early days of Nurk Fever, I saw the potential. They run healthy that pick and roll, healthy Nurk, he's getting shots, taking it up strong. Had a long rant about that before the camera as well. It's possible. Back when we had goddamn Enes Kanter,
but we don't run the offense anymore at all. And that was Stotts, right?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Blazers
Shout
Twitter,
Stotts.
Another one of my favorite parts of Blazers Twitter is everyone asking for Stotts again. When it's we took that as far as it could go.
Did we though?
I mean,
because where are we going now?
It took Stott. Look, I'm just saying, if you're gonna go for double down on that, Mike D'Antoni isn't coaching anyone right now. You could get the same thing.
We're
but
not
better.
going to talk about Mike D'Antoni in the playoffs. He's not a playoff coach. That's not realistic. I mean, Stotts wasn't either. Don't get me wrong. So I feel what you're saying.
Game 7 of the conference finals, like against the souped up Warriors, like
with a super squad though. I mean, it wasn't like he didn't have a squad though. I mean,
no, I'm saying like Mike D'Antoni, like, and we can say whether like if Chris Paul hadn't got injured that season, whether they would have beat them. Like, I'm not even a big D'Antoni fan if my tone here hasn't shown that, but I'll give him his respect in that regard. But okay, I say I don't want to, be that person on the camera firing coaches as I get ready to be like, I don't know if Chauncey's the guy.
I feel bad for Chauncey because I feel like Chauncey has been directed to lose.
This is true though.
And how are you supposed to, as a coach? I feel like Chauncey's job has been to lead his players through a losing season that they intended on losing.
But not the whole season, though.
Not the whole season. But in the games that they won, I feel like no one was really complaining about him that much. It's when they kind of got to that point where they were like, the rotations are not what we like, and now all this. But I feel like the players all love him, despite the fact that they're losing constantly. And that says a lot because I think that's what he was actually brought in for, was to be a guy that keeps the personnel in high hopes while they go through all this nonsense.
But what if? Hear me out. Summer's coming. There's another semi-surprise available coach as of the last year. He's a hometown hero, Jefferson High's own, former Blazer. Took a team to the finals last year.
But he fumbled his woman.
Hey, look. Nia Long.
If you're watching.
No. Controversial question, dude. If Ime were up for it, Ime or Chauncey?
I don't know. Ime was in that Boston situation, and Boston is not just like a team that has like a coach and he runs everything. It's not like that, right. Honestly. Ime is an excellent basketball mind. He is a local. He'll get plenty of local love. All the men here want him to come here regardless of his transgressions, and I totally understand the Mennonists standing up for their guy, right? And honestly, I don't personally care. It's not like he was, like molesting people or something. He was just, running around with a white girl. So it's what it is. But at the same time, I feel like Chauncey could very easily get traded this summer, or get not traded, but fired this summer, or put on hold or whatever it is, because he's expendable. And I feel like I feel like in so many ways he was hired because he's expendable. He's a new coach. He doesn't have a ton of experience, and they could run with a narrative that Chauncey wasn't the coach for the team, instead of just the front office just saying, "Hey, we're tanking," because at the end of the day, there's always this a fine line with the front office of trying to win or trying to lose, and then acting like they have no say on it, right?
Right.
So Chauncey kind of serves as the perfect smokescreen for the less intelligent fans to kind of be like, oh, it's his fault, when in reality, he doesn't have a directive to win. His directive is to lose and go to the Wemby on a sweepstakes and make the best of it with his players.
It's fair.
That's my take.
It's fair. Chauncey Billups believer in the building. I'm not as sold, but also I do.
Not sold either because he's losing.
Yeah, but because honestly, from any standpoint, it's just like if you're a coach and you get 2 seasons with a team that's a fundamentally flawed roster both years, you don't get that's not a fair shot. Also, nope. I've been around long enough to see Mike Brown have a job for 4 games and get fired. So,
Mike Brown's a solid coach, though.
Oh, he's doing great things in Sacramento, who will lose in the first round. Mike Brown, if you're watching, I love you.
Mike, listen, the one thing I'll say about Brown, though, is that, and he did this, with LeBron, he emphasizes defense. And defense is what wins championships. The Kings do play decent defense. They don't play great defense because they're getting back all the time. But they don't play bad defense for the kind of offense that they play. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you're a team that is taking the quick shots and and swinging the ball back and forth and driving and kicking the guys that are just like pulling up off the catch constantly, and they're just getting back on defense, they're not giving up as many points as you would think that they would have. They're no Phoenix Suns.
So, a little behind the curtains moment for everyone right now. There's certain parts of this before we got on camera that we, plotted out like, hey, this is where we're going to go. This is where we're going to go.
This is not one of them.
That was the first one that gave me, you saw that look on my face. That was genuine. Because, we're going to have to agree to disagree on the Kings' ability to play defense because
they can turn it up. They don't play great defense the whole game, but they turn it up when they need to. And that's why they have a good record in the West. Or in general, they have a great record in general.
Could I intrude real quick? What is the Kings' current record?
The Kings are...
Computer man Bruce.
Because when I last checked, they were not doing that great.
Oh, I mean, record-wise, so they're third in the West,
Boom.
48 and 32.
Boom.
Let's see, opponents' points per game. They are third to last in the West at 118. And anecdotally, admittedly, most of these teams vying for like 6 in the West are licking their chops at the chance to play the Kings. And I understand why. And it's defense or the lack thereof.
You could say that, but I mean, I feel like when the team is putting up that many points, because they're definitely top 5 in the league in points scored per game, top 3 in the league in points scored per year. They definitely are like at the top in 3-point shots
highest
made.
scoring team in the league.
Yeah, the highest scoring team in the league. You have to give up something on defense when you're scoring in that way. But they play fast. They play hard. I don't know if you watched them play against the Baby Blazers the other night. The Baby Blazers came out shooting with them, staying in the game for a couple of quarters, and then it was like blowout season because the Kings noodled down on defense. They started picking pockets. They started blocking shots. Sabonis can turn into a defensive monster at any time in the game, and so can De'Aaron Fox. And I feel like you've got a couple of guys in there that can really turn up and tighten the screws while the team continues to score at that rate. And I think that it looks like they're not a great defensive team by the numbers, but I watch them play and I feel like they play better defense than they're given credit for, especially individual defense and team defense. Especially individual team and defense makes no sense, but you know what I mean.
I have so admittedly I'm partial to the eye test. So I'm not going to go as definitively. If you've watched more Kings games, because I know everyone loves the feel-good story.
It sounds wild, but
I know they haven't been in the playoffs in 20 years, and we like Mike Brown, so we want, everything about this is, feel-good stuff. But I was a Lakers fan back during the Shaq years. And
he's just lost points with me. He's
that's
Lakers
fine.
fan at some point. Wow,
that's fine.
That's tough.
That's fine. We live in Portland where there is a disturbing amount of Kobe Bryant fans.
I was a Sonics fan, so it's all good. I'm a Kobe fan too, but I'll never be a Lakers fan.
I'm not going to mention what I was going to say. It doesn't have to do with anyone in here, but I want to
say it, Bruce. Say it, Bruce. Get spicy on him.
Saying there are certain places in Portland that have Kobe Bryant jerseys on the wall, and it's a little
tough.
It's a little weird. Anyways, leave it there. Just leave it there.
Certain places.
Look. Okay, fine. With the Kings, if they face the Clippers, who you got?
It depends on which Clippers show up to play, right? Because the Clippers have like two personalities, kind of like a Kawhi. They have the team that comes out and they like run around a lot and miss a lot of shots and play good defense but still lose. And then you have the Clippers that come out on fire and they hit shots and they play and they look happy. And it's just like they're so bipolar. What's their record this year? They don't have a great record this year, right? I mean,
they're hovering around.
They got what, 40 wins?
Yeah, they're 42 and 38.
Yeah, so I mean they're right around. They're just above a 50. I feel like the second half of the season they definitely picked up a little bit. The first half I was like, what are they even doing out here? But they traded away a Bev and was that last year they traded away Bev? They traded away Bev last year.
That was a couple of years ago.
Who they have this year at point guard? Who's playing?
Russ.
They just got Russ.
They got rid of Russ. So I don't know if that helps him or not. I really don't. It's really hard. I haven't seen enough games of them post Russ. With Russ, I definitely wasn't feeling it. But post Russ, I'm not sure I'm feeling them either. It's such a quiet team this year. They win games, big games often, but also like they lose games where I'm like, okay, like didn't the Blazers beat them pretty handily a couple times this year? I mean, I know the Knicks won.
No, because I one of the losses to the Clippers was very memorable because the Blazers were up by like 20 in the third quarter.
Right, they lost. That was funny, the comeback game.
Yeah, and who led that? Former Blazer, Norman Powell.
Yeah.
Who had 20 in the fourth quarter.
And Norman Powell was definitely an X factor. You know, I don't know. I feel like the Clippers could definitely beat the Kings in a 7 games series. But I feel like they'll definitely be playing a catch up. I don't think that they'll come out and establish their dominance off top unless Kawhi is suddenly ready to just be that guy. But I haven't really been seeing them really show up as like the dynamic duo that we've always expected from them. They've had their moments where they score 34 and 30 apiece. I think this last week they both had big games and had and won. But a lot of times it's just like that team doesn't gel in the way that I expect them to. So I don't know. The Kings are really gelling and playing well together. It's like they enjoy each other's company. And even like, what's his name with the H? Is it Huertas or what's his name? What's his name? The headband man on Sacramento. The white guy with the headband. Yeah, he's been shooting lights out. And the team just like really like, they're just really gelling. I like how they're playing together.
Okay.
And that to me is kind of a bigger thing than having Norm Powell come out and possibly score a bunch of points off of weird shots, because he's definitely a weird player.
I'll say this: the Clippers are like
Barkley.
Clippers are like my dark horse pick for it all, because, like you said, they
for it all.
Yeah, they have the potential. They also have the potential to lose in the first round. I will give you that. Mm-hmm. And like I'm not really. I have an interesting relationship with the Clippers. They employ Paul George, who's been my nemesis in the NBA for several years, for like 10 years.
Why?
Do you remember those Papa John's commercials?
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember the Gatorade commercial where he has the game winner that has only been hit in his face that he's not hit?
Yes, I do remember that.
Do you remember just him changing his number to 13 so he could call himself PG-13? That's a real thing. I refute. Look, Paul George, if you're watching.
He's always been corny to me, and that kind of just helps me to understand why. I never thought about it before.
I say this. As a corny person, he infuriates me. You're not supposed to do that. Like, there are levels. And anytime Paul George has the chance, even, what was it, this week, the other week?
Where Paul George was learning crossovers from the professor.
Oh,
yo, I've been quiet, bro. Wait, you did not just say that. The professor,
you know, the guy from Oregon,
the white guy.
Yes,
yeah, from Kaiser.
From Kaiser.
Wow. Oh,
hey, professor's out here.
And I'm like, Paul George. I feel like Paul George to me has always been more concerned with highlights than with winning. And I don't know if he got that because he played in Indiana and they were just used to losing. But I feel like Paul George is an excellent player. You know, he does amazing things. He plays excellent defense. He plays excellent offense. He can handle the ball. He can post up. He can do everything. Yet for some reason, he's just not great. And that's the thing I struggle with, because I'm like, why is he just not great?
It's his decision making. I cannot separate those commercials.
It's like young Marcus Smart.
All these. Marcus Smart doesn't deserve that.
Young Marcus Smart,
though. He does.
Young
Marcus Smart was a struggling
I used to call him Marcus Dumb because he used to do the silliest stuff, bro.
Bro used to make bad decisions.
Here's the thing with Paul George, because I say this again as someone who has hated on him relentlessly. Or like, there's 3 players who've just, not really for like valid reasons, but I refuse. Like Dirk, James Harden, Paul George. I can't tell you all
James
the
Harden
reasons why.
valid.
You can probably infer some other ones, but
hating Dirk. Come on, man.
That Warriors series, I'm sorry, you're 7 foot. You're one of the greatest big man shooters of all time. You're getting pushed around the post by 6'4", 6'5" guys. No. But we're gonna bring it back to Paul George because I've actually had like somewhat of a change of heart. And you know what caused it? Blazer Twitter. No,
they love him.
They were comparing Cam Reddish to Paul George, and it's just like we've gone too far.
Cam Reddish.
Exactly, we have gone too far. I hate Paul George, but no.
I actually need Blazer Twitter to decide whether they love Cam Reddish or hate Cam Reddish, because I swear he got here, was averaging 16 points a game on decent play, and everyone was like, this guy doesn't do anything. And then after they looked at his stats, like 2 weeks later, they were like, Cam Reddish is killing. We should have got him earlier. And I'm like, how'd y'all watch him play and hate it and then love his stats after the fact?
You're asking for logic from Blazer Twitter
nonsense.
Again, that you're asking too much. Like, that was what I love when they had, the most recent wave of will Dame go or will he stay headlines started with like the JJ Redick interview where he's asking about, race culture and everything. But I love JJ's setup on there because he's like, so let me give you this quote from some Blazers Facebook page telling you need to leave for the best for your family and whatnot. And it's actually a great setup because it encapsulates the real problem, which is Portland has enough of its problems, especially as far as like incentivizing NBA players to be here. But like, and I know fan bases are weird everywhere. They are.
Facts.
But people have been trying to run Dame out of town while also recognizing he's the greatest player in franchise history at the exact same time for years now.
According to Twitter, it's still Bill Walton. Had like 80 mentions about this. I'm trying to tell you, it was serious. They were really, really mad because I said Dame is better than Bill Walton.
Wait, did you fight Dwight James on that one too?
I might have. And then I went on a tear of tearing down all of Bill Walton's accomplishments, including his MVP that he shouldn't have got. Because there were at least two guys that should have got it over him, including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who they didn't want to give a third consecutive MVP, as well as the Iceman, George Gervin, who put up 36 a game that year and with like 10 rebounds. But, because Bill Walton averaged 18 and 11.
Hey, it was great team basketball. He really moved the ball.
I'm not sure he was the best player on that team, but that's okay.
Shout out to Maurice Lucas.
Just saying.
R.I.P. Maurice Lucas.
He was averaging 26 and 9, so I mean, he was doing something and being the top defender on the team actually when it came to playing against wings outside the post.
And being the muscle on the team.
And being the muscle and getting in a fight with Daryl Dawkins that really kind of sparked that championship run. So, but Bill Walton was there and he wasn't Kareem. So.
Hey, he was really good at UCLA.
He was really good in Blazers for a season and a half.
Also,
he played what, 90 games for the Blazers?
Probably something around that. Hey, it was
just saying
most of that first season and a half.
Yeah, greatest Blazer of all time in 90 games.
I mean, there's even with that conversation.
Because he brought us a ring by himself with his 18 points a game. Yep. Anyways,
even with that conversation, because like I feel like Dame kind of like really solidified it this year, but I was kind of bothered by people just, again, weird fan base where it's like we need to elevate Dame by just shitting on the existence or memory of Clyde Drexler. It's like people are still mad that he left in '95, and it's like, why?
When Clyde Drexler left, he was actually the same age as Damian Lillard, which is hilarious if you look at their hairlines. That's all I got.
Oh man. Yes. So
do you remember his hair in NBA Jam?
I do.
He looked like the guy off of what's his name? With the walk, off of 227 and you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his name now. George.
Oh God, George Jefferson.
He looked like George Jefferson. He's like George Jefferson in NBA Jam, and I used to love it. I would dunk like George every time I got people with him.
Oh. So I'm gonna wrap this Blazers segment up because it did remind me that I have one more Knicks jab before we're done with that.
Okay. Back to the Knicks.
No, because like and this is self-awareness. I'm looking at myself and saying, the way I'm looking at the Wemby sweepstakes right now, I remember Knicks fans during the Zion draft, and obviously it didn't work out that way, but also you got the healthiest player of the top three. So
he did. He's actually the best player now of those three. I mean, when it comes to actually playing basketball, not when it comes to talent and potential, but actually playing basketball. Who's doing better?
He is the most durable player of the three, and we stop there.
It's the Karl Malone Award.
Oh man,
the award only.
I would say because we were talking about the Clippers, and apparently I might be the biggest Kawhi fan outside of people who like the Clippers.
I ran across in a Spaces recently, a Twitter Spaces, a bunch of guys jumped on me because I said that Kawhi to me is not a superstar. And they were like, how do you say that? And I was like, he doesn't play enough.
See, you know what? I had an argument with a friend about this. He's like, he doesn't carry the superstar burden.
He doesn't.
And I love it. I love it.
He's a role player that does amazing that plays his role very well. He's like Klay Thompson. He's like Klay Thompson.
Oh, come on.
Is Klay a superstar or a role player?
How many finals MVPs does Kawhi have? Remind me.
1?
2.
He has 2?
Yeah.
Oh, he got one with the Spurs.
Yeah.
Because he turned up. After not playing all season, right?
Finals MVPs. That was when he was still playing wrestling. But here's why I love Kawhi. Beyond like, I do love his game, but it's more so he does not care. Like about
doesn't care.
Owners,
winning,
media, fans. It's wonderful. It is delightful.
The regular season.
It is. I love it. Load managed. Like Kawhi is a hero for healthcare for players, and I love it.
It's so bad for basketball to have guys that only play in the postseason.
But hey, we
Kawhi
have
has played how many games this season?
We're doing a sports talk segment. Damn it, we've done damn near a whole First Take show at this point.
But I'm just saying, how many games does Kawhi actually play?
But I'm just saying, like, look at the landscape it's shaped in. We've had media beat into our heads that the only thing that matters is rings. So why wouldn't players be like, I'm going to preserve my health, and then the only time when people are really paying attention or going to talk about, that's when I'm going to go. Like, we've incentivized that.
I mean, I understand like LeBron goes 0 dark 30 and always has a mysterious injury at the end of the season unless they need him to come back and score.
If you
some
actually
points.
look at the numbers though, LeBron plays a lot.
A lot of what?
Minutes, games.
But he also misses a lot of games in long stretches for mysterious injuries that don't exist.
Not
like
as
his last injury.
But not as much
like,
as
I tore my ankle, and then he comes back and like the doctors have never seen a person recover like this. Because you weren't injured, dog. You just were tired. You needed a break.
Oof.
Let's be honest.
He's 38. He is the all-time leading scorer in the NBA.
He is. His ankle was not hurt. He was just tired and needed a break because he wanted to be fresh for the playoffs. And then it didn't work out because his team started losing, so we had to come back mysteriously early from his injury.
He got injured, and they started, also because they made that trade, they started playing well, actually, because they were in like 10th. Moved up to like 6th or 7th. He finally came back. They're in the running for 5th.
What space are they in now? The Lakers?
I
need you to look at that record again and see where the Lakers are.
41-39. The Clippers, who are currently in 5th, 42-38. They also played each other last night.
So Clippers the Lakers are what? So the Lakers are in what spot?
7th. They're literally a game back of 5th. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, we gotta stick with the facts here. The Lakers started going on a weird winning cycle, actually, when he got injured. Came back. They are in contention to be in the 5th seed in the playoffs after starting the season like 2-10. But also, let's take all that out of the equation.
Helps when LeBron is playing.
LeBron is 38 years old.
Yeah, he's still great.
He's
still a superstar.
The Lakers could have the same record as the Rockets right now. If it was just LeBron doing what he's been doing, and it was that, I would still be I would still be impressed because this is ridiculous. I don't actually care about the LeBron legacy stuff at this point. If he wins another one, great. If he never does, whatever. This man's 38 years old. Mm-hmm. Yes, he has a hyperbaric chamber in his house
for the playoffs, and I get it. And so is Kawhi because he learned that works. It worked for him a couple times. He got he got a couple of playoff MVPs. He has no regular season MVPs.
He has one or two defensive players of the year.
Does he have all NBA first team?
Kawhi? Let's see. Again,
does he have
defensive players of the year?
That's a good. That's a good stat. Marcus Smart has one of those.
Why are we slandering Marcus Smart so much?
Because
what did he do?
He's like the bar. You know, like, are you good or not good?
All-NBA first team, 2016, 2017, 2021. That would be three.
They gave him three of them?
Three of them, two NBA, all-NBA second teams.
What year was he on the Raptors?
2019.
Did he get first All-NBA on that year?
Nope, that was second team.
Has he ever had an NBA a first team on the same year that he won a championship? No.
2016, 2017, 21. No.
So he's learning that if he does not play well in the regular season, that he has a chance of playing well in the playoffs.
I mean, also,
and we're rewarding him for this.
What happened the last time? Did he play? No, he didn't play in the playoffs last year. So last time he was in the playoffs.
Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, because he was injured all season. He didn't play.
Because he didn't play.
Yeah, because he tore up his knee against the Jazz in the previous playoffs. Like, my thing with Kawhi, because everyone's like, oh, he's faking it. He's like,
no, he was hurt.
Like, what if his body is actually just that fragile?
He played hurt that playoffs.
So that's my thing. Is like, okay, yeah, maybe Kawhi is quote unquote cheating the game compared to past generations. But what if his body is just like that fragile and he knows it and he manages?
I mean, listen, I'm not saying that Kawhi is not a great player. He is. He can turn it up at any time.
He is a joy to watch.
He's not a joy to watch.
He is a joy to watch.
He's just really strong. He bumps people out of the way and then gets the shot off. That's really what he does. No, it's not complicated what he does.
He gets to his spot.
Yes, and then he pushes you and then he gets a shot off. He's just really, really strong. Like, I get it. I'm not mad at it.
I'm sorry.
Shaq, it's a good game.
Gets to his spot back in the day, shrugs off three people.
And then dunks on you. I get it.
It's wonderful to watch. But even beyond that.
When he's playing, I guess.
When he's not playing. When people are trying to interview him and he doesn't care. I love it. Like, as a media person, I should hate that.
Is it that he doesn't care, or is it that he doesn't really have anything to say?
That's even better though.
Like,
do you know how many people have nothing to say but
Tim
insist
Duncan
on saying things
Wallace,
anyway?
Even Boogie Collins didn't say a lot to the media, but they had lots to say. Kawhi, literally, I have no idea I don't even know if he's actually human. If someone was like, listen, the reality is Kawhi is a synth and we built him in a lab and he doesn't have a brain, I would be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It would actually like clear things up for me because that man has not only no personality, but like,
but he is clearing. Again, I appreciate it because he is clearing the way for people I actually might want to listen to. There are too many people in the world clogging up time, saying nothing. That Kawhi refuses to do that. Again, a joy. Let me look at the main camera. A joy to watch. A joy.
But when the press is like, hey, Kawhi, with 16 seconds left, you took over the game. What was going through your mind? And he's like,
great.
Are you serious, bro?
It's a soundbite that no one is going to be talking about.
It's just
exactly.
He's like Pootie Tang, bro. When you ask him a question, he just like the greatest answer ever because you can't hear anything. Like, I don't understand what's going on with that man. Like, I need him to just like, at least like, I need to see you like laughing. Like, you see him in the club. His videos, like he's like in the club. And he's just like. He's an NPC.
All of this is making me love him more. I don't get this.
He's like a Grand Theft Auto cop that you can't kill.
One day,
it's not that he's not good at his job. It's like,
I'm just saying,
why you just appear at random times and do things?
One day, when Kawhi retires, we're gonna miss this. This was the guy that was here.
We're not
the same way.
I don't miss Tim Duncan either. Like, I don't miss him. He was a great time. I don't miss him though.
That's a take.
Do you miss a Tim Duncan? Do you miss watching him score and be like,
Yes, I do. And I love it. One, I miss
watch Kawhi.
I miss watching the game, but also the stories about Tim Duncan's like subtle trash talking are great.
No, Tim Duncan is Tim Duncan actually had a personality. And if you talk to like Garnett and Wallace and those guys, they'll tell you about it, right? Ask a player about Kawhi Leonard. You've never heard anybody say anything funny or interesting about Kawhi Leonard ever. Ever. Teammates, not teammates, coaches, they're like, yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. That's all they can ever say. Like
he has
like
managed to make a personality out of having actually no personality. Again, I like characters. What can I say?
He's the opposite of a character, though. He's
Which
like
makes him
He's the
a
guy
character.
at Safeway that checks out everything super fast and never says anything to anybody. He doesn't ask you if you have your Safeway card. He don't care, bro. He's done already. You didn't put your number in too late. It's done.
Here's the
whole
thing.
time. I put my card and he's like,
but think about, because he's on a team with the person we identified earlier, Paul George, who, again, had so many opportunities not to just throw stuff out there. And
that is the most underwhelming dynamic duo in the NBA.
I mean, I won't disagree with that.
I agree with that take 100%.
Because, again, my feelings on Paul George. But
I feel like that's a match made in heaven. They can both guard literally anybody on the court. They can both score at will. They both have wild handles that can get wherever they want to their spots. Yet, they don't dominate anything. And it makes no sense to me. And they have a good supporting cast. It's not like they don't have a squad.
Actually, the Clippers, that's the thing about the Clippers. They're really deep this year.
They really are.
Even if you say like maybe
And
some of the
they're not
pieces
really
don't
good.
fit. Every position, at least two deep, including, again, a legitimate big two.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they just don't have it. I don't see the chemistry. It's been a couple years. I don't see the chemistry. It's kind of like Luka. It's like watching Luka and Kyrie. They don't have the chemistry. They can both get off like individually, but they have to actually like take turns. Like there's no like congruency and like fluid motion. It's not like that. There's just like, hey Paul, it's your turn. Hey, Kawhi, it's your turn. There's no like synchronicity. It's like you watch the Knicks. It's not like that. Everybody gets off in rhythm, in flow. At any point in the game, anybody can just start taking over, right? And like your two stars, they play like a complementary game where one is moving herky jerky and fast and setting up the alley-oops. The other one is cutting a back door and making moves and posting up and making passes out to the wing. Kawhi and Paul George are like, it's like there's two people playing a 2K on the same team. And you don't win like that.
maybe. So here's the thing with the Clippers, though. One, I trust Ty Lue and being able to make adjustments.
As a coach?
He's shown it.
With what?
I'm sorry, Kawhi gets hurt. And then they go into the conference finals and make it. They lost in 6 with, again, Paul George at the helm. But also, again, like he made defensive adjustments. Again, have they had meltdowns? Yeah.
He'll make adjustments, Ty Lue, sure. But he's still the guy that Iverson just stepped over. I mean, there's really no coming back from that.
I mean, I would say that 3-1 comeback was, that does it. Yes, that LeBron guy and Kyrie may have had something to do with it. Maybe.
Somebody averaged like 37 and 16 that series, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Hey, they were down 3-1. Defense was played. Somehow your third best player was Tristan Thompson at the time. Yes, I know Kevin Love was on that team, but I also remember watching First Take in Cleveland where people had Kevin Love in a trash can on
One
the
of the
poster
saddest things I've ever seen was the destruction of Kevin Love.
The destruction of Kevin. So
he was a perennial all-star.
For those viewing,
when I was young,
I have personal history. We went to high school together, but so the destruction of Kevin Love.
High school of Kevin Love.
Like the destruction.
That man was getting a 30 and 30 games for years.
Well,
on a losing team.
He got don't get me wrong, 130-30 game is absurd. It's not that many people.
He was getting plenty of 20-20 games. Let's put it that way. I'll say that for sure. He definitely got a more than a handful of those.
He was solid.
He was
his last year in Minnesota, he was averaging 26 and 13. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna trade you for the rights to Andrew Wiggins. And I get it. But also the destruction.
Yeah, he played with LeBron and just fell off after that.
But he's
playing.
Never
been the same.
He was starting.
He's never been the same.
What has happened?
He went keto.
What has happened since LeBron left? Like he was out of the Cavs, completely out of the Cavs. Who you mentioned?
I know.
Rotation. That's not LeBron.
I didn't say it's LeBron. I'm telling you, this is a whole other convo, but there's a whole track of players that fell off after playing with LeBron James.
Max speaks facts. No, let's talk about this. I'm opening the door.
Okay.
D Wade, Chris Bosh. After they were done playing with LeBron.
I mean, I don't think Wade is fair because his body also was breaking down.
Okay.
The way he played.
Okay.
Like you can see that coming. Chris Bosh. Yeah.
Kyrie.
Nah. Kyrie's still been
He's still balling.
He's still balling,
Kyrie,
but
it took him a while to get back to it. He had to go through a whole phase where he had to deconstruct his whole mind and see if the world was flat and
okay. First off, he's still
piss off Jewish people and all kind of other
still
stuff.
very much in that phase.
Yeah, but he probably needed that just to get back to playing basketball because LeBron James takes your confidence away and sucks it up and absorbs it for himself. He's basically a monster.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't disagree with that, but
here it comes.
Westbrook.
Well, Westbrook was low-key falling off.
Westbrook, I'm sorry.
Low-key, but not high-key.
True.
Because, Westbrook didn't
AD.
have controversies.
AD.
In other...
AD. You can't forget AD.
Players don't actually play well with LeBron.
JaVale McGee had a good year with with Golden State and then came to the Lakers and vanished.
Now,
they did the same thing to him in Dallas this year.
If you're a mediocre player, like Mario Chalmers, then playing aside
I love the callbacks.
a LeBron James is great because he treats everyone the same, right? So if you're a scrub who just shoots threes in the corner, he'll be standing in that corner and he'll find you. Jordan did that too, but Jordan didn't take away from other good players.
Right.
That's the thing with LeBron.
Yeah, he just punched Steve Kerr in the face.
For facts. And he loved it for him. He loves him for it. But I mean, I feel like you look at guys that play with LeBron that are not good. Tristan Thompson, Haslam. They get a boost to their career. But you get guys that are good.
Stop. Before we get Udonis Haslam, because most people have known him for the last 10 years, is not playing any minutes. But again, as a Shaq fan, the 2006 Miami Heat championship stays with me. Udonis Haslam, double-double, defensive beast. He had a time in his career. We will not slander Udonis Haslam. Udonis, if you're watching, well,
he's like Zach Collins. I mean, I'll give him that. He got Zach Collins level talent.
Also, Udonis Haslam is living the dream.
Oh yeah,
he gets to stay in NBA shape.
Period.
He gets paid $1.5 million a year to stay in NBA shape, and
not
check rookies and young guys in the locker room.
Well, you know what though? Honestly though, I'll say this: more teams need a Haslam on their roster. Imagine what the Blazers could do if they had a Haslam on their roster, telling people to calm down and stay out of the club. Houston needs a guy like that on their roster. The Kings have a guy like that on their roster.
Who's that guy on the Kings?
Who was that guy that went from Golden State and went to the Magic and has been a great shooter his whole career and a good long guy? He won a couple championships with the Golden State Warriors.
Harrison Barnes?
Oh,
boom.
Right.
Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is keeping the Kings in check. He's the one that's making sure that young team with a bunch of young run and gun type of players are staying in check. Even like a Chris Paul on the Suns, even though he actually plays and still contributes to the game, he's they need a guy like that to say, hey, settle down. This is how you win, even though Chris Paul doesn't win.
I want to defend Chris Paul.
In the playoffs. I love Chris Paul. I think he's one of the greatest point guards of all time.
I respect his game. I don't love Chris Paul, which is why I was just going to let that kind of fly.
As an old man that feels like he's fat compared to his old self, I love Chris Paul's game.
Wait, what kind of comparison is that?
It's on the ground and cerebral. He will not get injured anymore because he's not jumping anymore. Stay on the ground, sir.
So, for the sake of time-wise, because we have another 2 subjects, actually. We're going to hit one kind of quick, only because we're recording today on April 6, 2023. I say that because by the time this gets out, this topic will have probably been beaten to death 18 million
I know where we're going.
But there was a championship game this past weekend.
The only one that mattered.
And there was a very predictable... Yeah, if sports can become a proxy race war, it can and will, and that is exactly what happened with the women's championship game.
The chess game.
Yeah. For those who have been under a rock, Caitlin Clark of Iowa became, a national figure. Was
Steph Curry.
Yeah. White girl Steph Curry.
White girl Steph Curry. That's wild.
Hitting people with the Tony Yayo.
Tony Yayo, say it right. Yes, I'm talking about.
Also, my favorite part of this saga was the Black History moment for Tony Yayo because everyone was saying John Cena.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. Anyways, they go to the championship, face LSU. Angel Reese gets stomped out. Angel Reese hitting her back. Yep. And white people went crazy.
Listen, they were so ready to hate on the winning black team. First of all, the one dude said, after apologizing, was it Olbermann? Keith Olbermann? After calling her a piece of shit or something like that.
His was idiot.
Idiot.
Another person was
idiot.
definitely classless piece of shit.
Yeah, that's right. He was a stupid idiot, for that. Or what an idiot or something like that. Then he apologized because he doesn't actually watch sports and doesn't know what's going on. Because he didn't know that Caitlin Clark...
He worked at ESPN for so long. He knows exactly how this shit works.
Caitlin Clark told a girl, shut up, you're down 15. And they did an ESPN segment about her trash talk.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark even said after the fact, there was a lot of trash being talked by all the teams. And I'm definitely one of the biggest trash talkers. And so when she got me back, as an athlete, you win and you lose. And when you lose, you get talked trash to. I mean, it's just the way it goes down, right? I mean, if you lose the game, I can talk trash, especially if I'm not going to play you again until maybe next playoffs. Maybe. Right. You know what I mean? I couldn't even tell you who's in the men's Final Four. I'll be honest with you. I don't know or care. But the girls thing was just amazing. There was just so much hype about it, and the girls would have done a great job of boosting it on social media. And I loved just watching the LSU come up, and I also loved watching Caitlin Clark. I wasn't even sure what team she played for, but I knew that she was a baller, right? All right. So when I saw that her going up against LSU in the final game, I'm like, well, this is an LSU win. It should be obvious. LSU has a whole squad. Iowa has that one tall girl. There's actually 2 tall girls. A shout out to the one that comes off the bench. She's actually, I feel like her game is real nice because it's going to translate really well. But Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. But that shouldn't take away. I'm sure she averaged 30 something in the tournament. But that shouldn't take away from a girl that's averaging over 20 and 15 a game. Having a 34 doubles in an NAACP season, or excuse me, NAACP season, in an NCAA season is wild, and it's worthy of a lot of respect. And people acted like, who is this nobody talking to this hero of ours, which really kind of underpins the ongoing racism that Caitlin Clark got all the attention as if she was the only female player doing anything. And when people saw this LSU team that had multiple players that can go off, even Morris, people were Morris came at the end of that game and put in buckets. And the first half, what's her name came in and put in mad buckets. And then people were like, oh, well, it wasn't even her that won it. She shouldn't have got the MVP. She's averaging 25 and 15.
Yeah.
Who else are you going to give it to? But if you have only watched the last 15 seconds of one game all season, I could actually see why, as a white person, you might be mad at this black person who's tall picking on this white girl who's not.
It's framing.
It's framing.
Like I say this as someone who I just stopped watching. I watch the tournament a little bit. I watch the championship games, but I don't follow college basketball at all. So I can just, from the outside, the billing before the championship game is like Caitlin Clark versus Kim Mulkey, a real life Disney villain, a Cruella DeVille personified as a coach, her own shit on her own former star player Brittany Griner when she was in a Russian prison.
Right.
Kim Mulkey is a terrible person. But anyways, but somehow that's where the billing started.
She's a good coach, though.
True. But that's where the narrative started. Where did the narrative end?
Because
shitting on black women.
Because they wanted it to be a white person versus a white person, and the black girls came out and did their thing. And they didn't just do it quietly, because honestly, if she wouldn't have done that, it would have been billed as the coach of this team beat the star player. That's exactly how they would have branded it, and it would have been the white woman won. And when she did that, it forced everyone to say, well, what's she even averaging? Oh, what's her numbers look? I heard guys, she missed multiple layups in multiple games. I'm like, she averages 52% from the field, and she doesn't shoot threes. So
you gotta go deep into the skip bag to talk about she missed multiple layups in a game.
Right.
Hey, remember, LeBron took a jumper with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it missed. He's not the GOAT.
Right.
He isn't, but what? Anyways.
Right. It's not the argument. Okay, she missed a couple layups and she had to get her own rebound and put it in. First of all, that's really hard to do. Get a college playoff game to get your own rebound for missing. And it's not like she's not being guarded by anyone. They're not wide open. She's not going to the basket for a lay. These are hard. These are tough hook shots and layups and floaters around the basket with guys with girls in her face. She's not that tall. She's not 6'9". She's taller than most of the other girls out there, sure, but she's not 6'8". She's not Lisa Leslie. She's not. She just went through and she plays hard and she boxes out. And that's the big thing is her box out game is vicious. So it's just funny. Like she had to actually do that. And then people are saying, well, her gesture and her classlessness outshined her performance and her team's win. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. In 2 years, she's going to look back and realize that no one remembers her championship, only her sportsmanship.
Yeah, that's definitely not how that's going to work.
She has an MVP. She has a tourney MVP. She's in 2 years, she's gonna look back at her trophy case and be like, did that.
That was really it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? It's not even a big deal. I didn't even care that Caitlin Clark did this first. I didn't care what she did. If she would have pulled her pants down and mooned that girl, she won.
Hey, look, semifinal game against South Carolina, like, my family is families in South Carolina for the most part. They are actually like big Gamecocks fans. So in addition, yes. So like in addition to
what is your mascot?
I forgot that was the team name, and I was like, dang, I'm gonna need to censor that. I have to.
The only time you can say cock with no problem.
I have the merch. I used to wear the sweatshirt in high school all the time. Jesus. But in addition to that, in addition to like just if you're not a fan of Don Staley, I don't know what's wrong with you. But
for real,
it's like I enjoyed that game nonetheless. It's like that's just me swooping in and liking basketball.
After that game,
exactly,
calling them thugs for playing physical basketball. But it's also, I don't think it's talked about enough. People are talking a lot about the racial aspect of it, and rightly so, because clearly it's all just internalized racism. So it's what it is. But there's also a huge difference between what's expected of women and men in sports. Yep. And that's actually disturbing to me. Like, nobody cares if like Larry a Bird is talking trash and waving people off and doing all kind of stuff. Nobody cared when, and I mean, it's not just Caitlin Clark. Yes, she was definitely highlighted positively for her trash talk, even when it was totally below the belt. But if this was men, I don't think anybody would have cared. If the NAACP guy dunked on somebody for a game winner and took his shirt off and ripped it off and was like, yeah, it'd be par for the course.
That's why I point out the NAACP thing again.
Say it again.
Yeah.
I keep doing that. You know, they're on my mind. They're on my mind.
The NAACP
on
guy.
my mind.
Ooh.
But you know,
scuttlebutt, just throwing down dunks
just in my head, bro. It's just rent free.
That image is actually gonna. Sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
It's a good pause. But like, just the same week, that dude on the Lakers, the point guard.
Right.
He did a small thing to Patrick Beverly, a renowned trash talker, and the media went wild. First of all, it wasn't even that big of a deal. Even he was like at the game, he was like, I just did the too small thing because he always does that, so it was kind of funny. And it wasn't a pivotal point in the game or anything. He was just talking trash. He just scored on Pat Bev, and it wasn't even a big move. He just hit a floater crossing the lane and then hit the too small. And it was on ESPN. It was on Twitter. It was on everything going wild. Nobody cared. Again, that was a reversal of the race. Don't get me wrong. But people also love Pat Bev, who talks trash continuously when he's losing. He's like that guy that you're beating a street fighter, and he just does low kicks, and he's still just talking trash, and you're beating his behind, and he's getting juggled, but he's still like, oh, but you can't do this if I was somebody else. He's like that guy, and they still love him for his trash talk. But when a girl goes out there and does this, and follows you and goes like this, and says, yeah, give me my ring. If Steph Curry is shooting a threes and turning around backwards and throwing up fours, when Klay Thompson is telling people, shut up on the bench, you don't have no rings, nobody cares. But as soon as a girl, a black woman specifically, shows a bit of intensity, a bit of fight, a bit of, yeah, we did this, I'm proud of myself, and you couldn't stop me even though you're the superstar, a favorite of everything, which she was, all of a sudden she's a villain?
Hey.
This wouldn't even register in men's sports.
Not at all.
Except as somebody did that.
Like I said, like
people walk around the NBA doing the balls dance, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
This would be celebrated. This would definitely be celebrated.
Shout out to Sam Cassell wherever you are.
People do that, bro. They walk down court like this, bro, and nobody cares.
Like that's the thing with this is, again, that's a very good point.
People go to 24-hour fitness, set up the camera, dunk on bankers, and then be like, yeah, give it to him, all in the camera's face. And nobody's like, stop recording that. That's bad sportsmanship. You're not even a pro. No one says that. This girl is in the NCAA finals. Let her have a moment.
Oh, man. I mean, with this is like, again, just from like the big macro media perspective, because I'm just looking at how are people taking advantage of the moment. Like the thing I hate with the whole Keith Olbermann thing is like, when's the last time I've even thought about Keith Olbermann? But when people are talking about this on shows, it's not just that they're reading the tweet and, you know, calling him all of the kinds of dumbasses he is. On one show, like they're playing clips from his podcast about his expectations. Like at this point, it's just marketing for him. Like that's all it is. Like he's actually winning for saying some shitty
racism
stuff.
sells, though. You know that racism sells.
That's my
point. In sports and anywhere else, racism sells. If you do something, and if you're a white guy and you do something that's just like overtly racist, but you can say that like you know, you never mentioned race, that's a whole marketing tactic. Oh, yeah. People will start donating to you because they feel like you've been wrongly accused of racism.
The white grievance market, it is, and granted, like it's
the only
fair
thing
game for a lot of
bigger
people.
Than white guilt is white grievance.
I mean, because like comics use it, like shit, like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock are getting that money too with this cancel culture shit. Like all of it is once that white grievance money is loyal, even if you don't want it. Like, was it, you know, JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins had some like MVP argument, whatever. You know, Kendrick Perkins like, I guess, insinuates that Jokic might be getting some support because he's a white dude or whatever. And it's like, I mean, we're in the U.S., aren't we? bias happens. Cool, but whatever.
Look how many back-to-back MVPs we've had in the last 20 years, and how many of them are black.
Let's say, take it further. 3-time MVPs. It's Larry Bird.
They wouldn't give Kareem that.
No.
They wouldn't give LeBron that. They only gave Kobe one. Except for Jordan. I think he's the only guy. And that's Jordan.
Jordan only had 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's true. He didn't get 3 in a row.
The last person that had 3 in a row was Larry Bird. What do he and Jokic have in common?
And they wouldn't give Jokic one, the third one. His teams, are the Nuggets in the playoffs?
No, I mean, they're the first seed in the West.
There you go.
By a margin. Like, he is having, like, I want to slander Jokic's game because this guy can play. Giannis is the MVP. I know everyone wants to give it to Embiid. Whatever. Giannis is the MVP. They're the best team in the league. They're going to win the championship. Everyone knows he's the best player in the sport.
I like Embiid for it personally.
Narrative is nice. That's cool.
I do agree that Giannis, by the numbers, probably should get it. When you look at his team record,
if you're going by numbers, I might give an edge to Embiid.
I mean, team record numbers.
Okay.
When you look at his team record numbers, they've dealt with a lot this season.
Right.
And it's not like Boston and Philly have not been right there the whole time, and they've competed hard, and they've got there. But I feel like Embiid is carrying a bigger load. Harden is definitely come and help. Don't get me wrong. He's not the young Harden we're used to, but he's definitely come and put up significant numbers to help. But I feel like Embiid is just playing at a level, kind of like how Giannis did a few years ago, where like I didn't expect him to do all of this. Mm-hmm. I feel like Jokic is doing exactly what he's supposed to do with with a great team that he has, and I feel like Giannis is doing what we expect him to do at this point in his career. I feel like Embiid is I feel like he's turning a corner, and I feel like he really has a good chance this year. And just on the strength of his play, I feel like he's just been like an emotional leader. He's been a scoring leader. Statistically, he's been this dominant. What do you have, like 38 and 15, isn't there, something like that? I mean, he had like
52. Yeah, the other night and Philly tried to lose that game.
I mean, he's out there just putting up numbers. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's just completely unstoppable. Plus, he plays defense, and so does Giannis.
I was gonna say that Giannis guy.
So does Giannis. I mean, he plays amazing defense. But I feel like as a positional player, he's not getting the love he deserves. I feel like I could give it to Giannis as well. I don't think I would give it to Jokic.
Well, no, I mean, look, Jokic again, averaging Let's for perspective.
He's probably averaging a near triple-double again.
24.8, 11.9 boards, 9.8 assists.
Yeah, so triple-double darn near.
Look, he's, again, first team in the West. Mm-hmm. He's food on defense.
Food.
I don't care where it was. Well, his defensive numbers are better than you think. Great. I have very low expectations. What did you tell me?
Right.
And he's competing against Giannis and Embiid, who are legitimately, all candidates for all defense first team every year.
And he's getting eaten up by West Coast centers.
Also that. But
Sabonis giving you buckets.
but to bring it back, because we're talking about JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins, because as soon as Kendrick Perkins says whatever he thinks about Jokic, JJ goes into it's weird because JJ Redick is kind of positioned himself post career as actually very reasonable, and it's the one time he goes, "How dare you insinuate that?" And of course, what happens? The white grievance audience is very vocally like, yeah, JJ. And he has to go on his thing and be like, I don't want your support. But he's still going to get it.
But taking it back to LSU and Iowa, though, what about, what's your name, Afloje? The freshman guard who's been balling out and also raps.
Oh.
Have you heard her rapping?
No.
I think she's better than Dame. She got bars, bro. She was on the I-95 show, whatever. Bro, bars.
Bring back the Portland Fire. Sign her.
Bars. Okay. I'm trying to tell you, bars. Check out her rap, bro. She's cold at hoop and she's cold at rap, bro. I'm somebody put her on.
That
Dame should actually do a song with her. Is what he should do, and really put her on because she's icy, bro. Hoop and rap.
I'm intrigued, and that is a great segue into the non-sports part of our list.
Shoot.
But I have Mr. We Out Here magazine here.
I do that.
The Thesis, co-founder of the Thesis.
That's tonight.
So Complex recently put out a list of its hip-hop media power rankings.
I'm not on it.
That is the most Portland response.
I'm such a loser. I checked what if I'm on here? No. It's not even close, bro.
But so they're top 25, most influential players in hip hop media, and this list is a doozy. So I kind of just want to go around the room with things that stuck out to you. But I'm gonna start because it is the Poinsette show, the world's most dangerous infomercial, and there's a name that's not on here, but
Max Smiff.
This guy. There's a name on here. When I see this list and I see how it's formatted, I see who's up at number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and I'm like, this is the house this person built. Anyone want? Ado, you can't because I told you earlier. Mac, you want to take a guess?
I don't know.
Wendy Williams. You can't tell me when you look at this list. When you look at,
wait, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
But I'm just saying. Think about Wendy Williams' late 90s, early 2000s influence on hip hop media.
But it's not about back then. This is about now. Who's got the influence today?
I'm not talking.
Wendy Williams
I'm not saying
is a cartoon character.
I'm not saying she shouldn't be on this list in 2023. What I'm saying, when you see Joe Budden, Academics, Charlemagne the God, who is part of the Wendy Williams tree, as the top 3, I read this list and I say, this is the house Wendy Williams built because it's the same family tree of coverage.
That's respectful. But if I was doing a top 10 to 25 most influential players in the league, I'm not going to list a Jerry West.
Again, I'm not saying. To be clear, I'm not saying Wendy Williams should be on this list.
Her influence is there though.
Yeah, like when I read this, when I go further down with Gilly and Wallow, when I see what Nori's doing today.
But the people on the list from her tree are pretty much all horrible people.
I mean, Wendy Williams was not exactly, I shouldn't say was because she's still alive.
She's still with us.
She's not exactly, her reputation is not exactly as a great person.
She's a meme, bro. She's literally a meme, and like a joke waiting to happen all the time. I feel like the list had people on it that I feel like I can respect for the most part as far as their contributions to hip hop media, because really that's what it's about.
Right.
I don't know about the order of any of the list. I felt like Mr. Wilson should have been a lot higher, and it's not just because he follows me on Twitter, but I feel like in general he's just been like a real OG in the game that's continued to keep it moving and push the conversations. He had all of Twitter talking about if Future was the best rapper or not a couple of years ago. I mean, that's huge. You know what I mean? Like to get guys like that and to really have these. He's interviewed Hove. He's interviewed Drake. He's interviewed Biggie. You know what I mean? He gave a Rated I 5 mics when it came out, not later. His history with The Source and with all those different things that he's done over the years, his connection at Tidal, which is a huge influencer of hip hop. I feel like having him like below Joe Budden and Charlemagne is kind of funny to me. But I can also see that
that's all over the list though.
At those guys like Rock the Boat. Academics being number 2 is wild. He rocks the boat though. Does he do anything for the culture? I don't think positively.
Absolutely not.
He's hurtful to the culture really more than anything else. He's getting people killed out here darn near. So I'm like, but that is the thing though. If people are dying because you're covering nonsense, maybe you are influential. But there's guys that have just as much influence on what people are listening to that don't get people killed. And I feel like
facts.
But also it's Complex. Who runs Complex?
Yeah, if we're talking again,
it's not
influence. Unfortunately, influence isn't positive or negative. It's like
it's just influence.
What people are following and what's dictating the conversation.
The real conversation is why does Complex have so much influence in the conversation?
Little vocabulary. difference between black-owned media and black-targeted media. Complex is black-targeted media.
Facts.
Very much so.
Facts.
I for some reason, like, I assume people know that, but people really don't know that.
It's like the Adam 22 dude or whatever his name is. People were like, "Oh, he's racist." I'm like, "Bro, he's been racist, bro."
He is.
But he's on the list, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Adam 22. You know, Mr. No. Fun fact. I first learned about No Jumper from a kid at LO High like several years ago.
Like Oswego, shout out.
So I feel like that's fitting. I actually think the story of No Jumper is semi-interesting in the fact that it started out as, at least by Adam 22's admission in interviews, like, I'm trying to create content for virtually unknown artists. Now, the content he was creating was, you know, low budget TMZ shit. But in theory, as far as like getting names out of, again, people who are relatively unknown nationally, there is some truth to that. Now, of course, what did it morph into? He's doing
Lil
interviews
Pump.
with Richard Spencer right
Listen,
now.
at
Created Lil Pump.
Jeez. At the end of the day, I feel like in all aspects of hip hop, whether you want to be a rapper or a journalist or whatever, at some point, not black people decided that hip hop is the lowest bar of entry for a whatever related profession they wanted to be a part of. Whether you shoot music videos, whether you're just an influencer, a wannabe, or a blogger, I mean, whatever. And I don't have any issue with the black people that take that route because that's ours. But I definitely feel weird when these not black people, and I'm going to say straight up, mainly white folks and Asians, they jump on this bandwagon of I'm doing hip hop and I want to create a hip hop. I want to be part of the underground. And they amass this following that they do by having a black targeted media. And then when they get the following and the fans, they just revert back to whatever they really wanted to do. And it's so pervasive in our culture, and it literally happens in every aspect of what we do, from singers to people that rap that don't rap no more. People point out Lil Yachty, but I can give you 50 white examples that are far more. Yep. I don't know what Iggy Azalea is doing these days, but I bet she's not rapping.
She ain't
Hugging
rapping.
Jalen Brunson at Knicks games.
Right.
Go Knicks.
Right, go Knicks. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's like, literally, like, these people see our culture. They say it's a low bar for entry. I can start in the underground. I'm literally, you know, that guy down here because I have resources where that no one else has. You know, I get people all the time, hey, I'm trying to come through this and be a part of this. Can I work with y'all? I don't have no budget. Yes, you do. You got budget, and your uncle got budget, and your daddy got budget, and your mama got budget. You live in Lake Oswego, you got hella budget. But you want to come out here to these free things and do all this free stuff with all these black people and use our labor, and then just bubble up with all your resources that you hid from all of us the whole time. And I feel like Adam 22 is he's just a reincarnation of that exact same thing that they always do.
I would agree.
The Fox strategy.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, in the 90s, you know, specifically off the back of In Living Color, but like Fox on black entertainment builds up, the brand builds up its you know, legitimacy in the media, is able to flip that to get these big, you know, NFL live sports contracts, is able to then take some of that money, put it into funding, among other things, Fox News.
And people say, so what? Why do you care? That person just used that area and left. But it's not the case. They don't just leave. They actually gatekeep in our culture. So what you get is you get these people who not only get a following and a celebrity and money off of our culture, but they also then turn around and gatekeep who's allowed in our culture. They don't gatekeep any white people. They gatekeep all the black people. Oh, he's not cool no more. That's why on hip hop media that you see, on black targeted media that you see, it's always black folks getting in trouble. It's always black folks causing problems. It's always black folks getting accused of this, that, and the other. That don't happen to white people. Because A, in black targeted media, nobody would care. And B, in white targeted media, they're not going to say it until it's proven it's a fact, right? So that's just what it is. You look at Complex, you look at Adam 22, you look at all these different places that do this. This is what they do. And then they tell us who's in charge of our culture. For them to tell me that Joe Budden is the most influential person in hip hop, no shade to Joe, right? He has enough problems. But like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to tear him down right now. But like, you could have chosen someone that would be beneficial for our scene when black men are dying at some of the highest rates we ever have. You know what I mean? Across this country. And there's problems outside, you know, from each other and everything else. Inside, outside, we're dealing with it on both sides, and they're just sitting here like, oh, look at black people acting a coon. That's what they really want to show us. And that's because it's not by us. It's just sent to us.
Mm-hmm. Truly.
Mm. So we're definitely clipping that part.
Definitely saved.
Ado, you mentioned a person on here going through it, because I know most of these names, even if I don't watch them. Mm-hmm. But at number 6, this guy
Kai Cenat.
Never heard of him before, but you were really excited.
Too high or too low
about that?
Shouldn't be on the list.
Oh,
I don't think he deserves to be on the list in the sense of like, so I don't have an issue with the sense that like he is a Twitch streamer or that he has like ties to hip hop artists. Like he'll hang out with hip hop artists, be with them. But like when we're talking about everyone else on the list, there's a level of like his content is let me invite through 21 Savage and show him all the memes of everyone thinking that him and Drake are gay. And it's like, this isn't like, what is this? Like, this isn't like our, what? Like when you have people on the list that are like truly interviewing people, like everyone else on the list from Nardwuar to like Joe Budden at least will interview or talk about the culture in a type of way where it's like they're conversating about it, but you're just having people on your show. And like he does random stuff, bro. Like we'll invite through a rock band and pretend to be Kiss for like 30 minutes. Like he'll stream 24 hours and like have videos of him like getting hand jobs like live on Twitch. And it's like,
what?
Yes. Like
it's disturbing, B.
It's terrible. To me, I'm like sitting here being like, this cool. Like if you're talking about most influential, like he has a huge following and I understand it. I get it. Cool. If you want to talk about influential black streamers, black creators, cool. That's a whole different concept. But when you're talking about hip hop influencers or people who are influencing hip hop, he just like hangs out with rappers.
I never even heard of this dude before.
On these lists, so they have a quick list of like featured on this, known for this, and his known for it says high energy content, ridiculous skits. They also have most memorable moments. Kai FaceTimes Drake, Kai and Lil Baby, Kai and G Herbo pregnancy simulator.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
pregnancy simulator.
He put G Herbo on the pregnancy simulator. What is that? To me, it's like, why are we talking about this man should not be on the same list as like Big
Elliot
Boy.
Wilson.
Elliot Wilson.
But think about some of the names like Elliot Wilson.
Did real interviews with Big, no made up ish.
Think about whether you like watch all their stuff or not, but just like even just like legacy people, even
Angie Martinez.
Yeah, Angie Martinez. Like I'm not a huge Funk Flex fan, but like he's been here,
right?
He's and
he still matters.
Yeah, like Ebro Rosenberg. Like that was the other thing I was going to bring up, which is how. And respect to Nardwuar, because anyone who does that much research on questions, as an interviewer, I'm going to respect. Sure. But like Nardwuar is over Sway. I don't.
Only because Kanye said you don't have the answers. That's the only reason why. I'm surprised they didn't put a Kanye on the list. Honestly, it's Complex, bro.
Truly.
I mean,
just for fun.
Also, Complex is out here putting their own people. Their own interviewers on here.
While saying they're not.
Yes, while saying that they're not.
Notice that too, right? You caught, okay, I'm on the one that caught that, okay.
It's Nadeska, and honestly, if we really want to talk about it, Joe Budden, Academics, Nadeska all had a show on Complex for like a year.
Right.
And then Nadeska kept working with Complex for a while after that. And then Jinx currently is a member of Complex. You have your own people on here, but they say that they don't want to put Speedy Mormon on there, even though Speedy Mormon is like I'll give Jinx the work. Like, Jinx is a good interviewer. Jinx knows what he's doing. But, like, I like Nadeska. Nadeska's great. But put Speedy Mormon on there.
Hey, but we're not putting our own people, even though
You are.
we are.
I like Speedy. He's good. He's silly, but he's good.
I have an unpopular opinion
Let's hear
about
it.
one person on this list. I've
Which
previewed
one?
this
Which
for
one? Which
Ado.
one?
DJ Vlad. And I want to start this off. I don't think Vlad is a good person. Don't trust Vlad. If you have current criminal charges or pressing criminal charges, don't do a Vlad TV interview. However, or if you're, Joe Budden or some of these other people who loved being on Vlad and didn't love being on Vlad afterwards, don't do a Vlad interview. But I'll also say this as a person who just does like long form interviews and is always like, how can I get people to watch long form interviews and like actually do the conversation? I respect the craft and how he does that. And he will and he has certain people on, like, I think it's interesting when you have certain people, like, it's really people of a certain age. So he can have like a Chuck D on and you get a good product. He has a Smokey Robinson on. You're not going to get some controversial. Smokey Robinson incriminates himself.
Right.
He had Roland Martin on, and not just had Roland Martin on, but had Roland Martin on being interviewed by Sean Perez, not Vlad. I don't know if Vlad was in the room or not, but it's like, okay, it's not just clear cut. That said, if people are like, Vlad is the feds, probably.
I've heard that a lot.
Like,
I've heard that a lot.
I don't want to discount that. I just want to say, as an interviewer, because, once you start saying anything nice about Vlad, people have reactions.
I will say, like, looking at the list, Vlad makes sense because he's actually, like, he interviews hip hop artists. He, like, the thing is, like, Vlad has been around long enough to the point that, like, people I'm, like, close to and, like, younger artists are hopping on Vlad. Like, Vlad has that point where it's like people are still going to Vlad to be interviewed. Like, underground artists go to Vlad to be interviewed, and, like, he has research on them. He asks them real in-depth questions. Do I watch Vlad? No. Do I think Vlad is helping people out? No. Vlad is trying to put people in prison, but I think it does make sense why he's on the list. Like, I get why he's on the list. I don't like him, but I know why he's there.
Yeah. I look at, like, again, is Vlad the feds?
Probably.
Maybe, probably. Like, I got nothing on that. It's the same way if you do an interview with Good Morning America and you talk with George Stephanopoulos. It's the same thing to me.
It's the feds, bro. I'm talking to the government.
Wow.
I'm curious. Let's go around the room. Number 5, got Nori, Drink Champs, obviously.
I respect that.
How do people feel about Nori in here? I'm curious.
I love Nori the rapper. I feel like Nori as an interviewer, I feel like he has some good conversations. I feel like he is at a point where he has a lot more influence than he acts like he has.
Yeah.
And he has to be careful with that.
Do you think he's conscious of it or not?
He is. And I think it's not necessarily fair because people I used to have 800 followers on Twitter and I could say whatever I wanted. It was great. I have 20,000 now. I can't do that anymore. It has a different impact on, like, the actual world. And so I feel like Nori, like, even with recently, he was asking, should he have, who was he saying he wanted to have on there?
Oh, did you see the Tucker Carlson post?
No, I didn't see Tucker Carlson post. I don't even want to see Tucker Carlson post.
Okay, new information.
Okay,
Image going on
He
screen.
posted a picture of him and Tucker Carlson talking, and the caption is something like, "Wondering why they try to cancel me and not you."
Is it Tucker's post saying this?
No, that's Nori.
He's saying they didn't cancel Tucker, but they want to cancel him?
Yeah.
He's not wrong about that. I wouldn't take a picture with Tucker Carlson.
Facts.
Just But I get again, you're talking about a media platform, and all these people, they're under the gun to create and to sell.
Right.
They can't just make interviews and put them out in the ether like that. They're not like us. They can't just do, like, honest media and put it out there, and if people love it, they love it. They don't, they don't. But people watch it, but it doesn't have to be sensationalized. They need to be sensational every week. They need clips every week. They need a Twitter arguments about them, like they literally are monetizing people's hate for them.
Truly.
And Nori's extremely likable, so he has to do things like a Joe Rogan style to make people talk about him. And Joe Rogan was like the kind of guy that was like a pretty likable for a long time. And then he got on, started just saying all this stuff, and everyone's like, why are you doing all this? Because it's for attention. It sells. Controversy sells. And like I said earlier, nothing sells like racial controversy. So if you have, he was, I can't remember who he was talking about having on his show the other week. He was like, should I have somebody? And everybody's like, dude, that dude is a full on like low-key Nazi, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he's just like, okay, I was asking a question. No, you weren't. You were just driving interaction. Because negative attention and attention sell exactly the same.
Facts.
If negative attention isn't to sell better.
I feel like he definitely plays aloof to that as part of like the character, but especially at this point in the game,
that man is 50 years old. He's on aloof.
Yeah. After you've done 3 interviews with Kanye West that have all progressively somehow gotten more problematic, you don't take that picture with Tucker Carlson and make that post without knowing exactly what you're doing.
No, they know what they're doing. Listen, and that's an effect, in my opinion. The most negative effect of having white gatekeepers in hip hop that run our platforms, that fund our platforms, that distribute our platforms, is that it drives black men in the culture who have traditionally run the culture to flirt with fascism and to really like lean into misogyny, which has always been an issue in hip hop, but as it's being addressed now as the issue it is, they are being rewarded for leaning back into it. You know what I mean? So when you see stuff like Nori or Joe Budden or whoever like flirting with like interviewing Donald Trump or Adam Tutu while he's in a controversy, that's because that's what they've been shown works. That's the blueprint they've been given by the overseers who have really mastered creating discourse around the culture, even if that discourse is completely toxic and destructive. Has nothing to do with the music that we make at all whatsoever, but it definitely allows that path to happen. And that's a big reason why a lot of people are saying, we need more women in the hip hop, influence a sphere, and we have them all here with us right now. But you know what I'm saying? But like that's like a real thing. Like they're not there because these white guys don't actually want to hear that, and they're telling our people that's not what anybody wants to hear. They want to hear this. See how this sells? Go do that. That's why you have Gilly and Wallow out there. Especially Gilly, just being who he is. That's why you have that Charleston white guy running around the country doing tours and calling it comedy. You know what I mean? But he's really just talking to about rappers and trying to beef with rappers that don't even know him. You know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of drama to me.
Yeah, there's Ato's the younger of the three of us.
Yeah.
Do you watch Drink Champs at all?
Yes, I do. A little bit here and there, but yeah.
One thing I think that kind of taking it like a more, Max was giving us bars here, now I take it to like semi-positive, praiseworthy part of it. But the like, at least theoretically, conceptually interesting part with Drink Champs is like the show itself, get fucked up and tell stories. It's not a new format. But like the idea of like Nori really leaning into, I want to give artists their flowers while they're alive. Like I actually love that aspect of it.
I love that. Yes.
I love the stories. Like random, like my favorite Drink Champs clip is just Trick Daddy talking about ass eating and be like, it depends. It is. I laugh every time.
That was not what I was expecting to hear from you today, Bruce. That is not what I was expecting to get from you.
Look, it is. I remember
liberated
Trick
black
Daddy
media.
in the
Truly.
remember Trick Daddy late 90s,
Trick little
2000s to come to a moment in 2022 or 2021 where he's just on the camera talking about ass eating. You know what? We have evolved.
That shouldn't surprise you from Trick, though. I mean, I was probably the biggest Trick Daddy fan in Portland in the early 2000s. Like, I literally had all of his albums. I listened.
That's quite the distinction.
Bro, that's such a statement.
In Portland, bro, people were like, "Who? I'm a Trick Daddy. You don't listen to Trick Daddy and CeeLo? Come on now." Even before the CeeLo connection,
In
like,
Portland? No.
yeah,
Oh,
it was like it was like Trick and Trina on my playlist. I used to listen to the whole album front to back, like constantly in my house. I was also like 21, so that's what it was.
Right.
So I'm not surprised by any of that. He's totally one of them Florida boys. He's straight off the off the backs of Luke and all that. But still, to say it on the radio or
Also
on
true.
the YouTube, which is basically TV now,
Yeah.
it does feel wild.
I mean, it's just like, again, just like giving. I mean, that's just great clips, but also again, you having these artists, especially artists who like we're trying to make hip hop artists specifically, black people more specifically, that much more disposable and just like socialized conditions. So having a show where again, giving people their flowers, like, and just being very explicit about it to the point where it's it's sticked and it's like make some noise every time. It's just every 3 minutes, yes, but also that is somewhat like that is different from just let's either incriminate this person on or get this person to incriminate themselves on camera, or let's just tear this person down.
Listen, the criminalization and destruction of black men will always sell, and there's no field more furtive than hip hop. So it's just what it is. You know what I mean? It's always going to sell. It's always going to sell. Look at Jonathan Majors. How did that spread like wildfire in 24 hours? That man is still ruined, and supposedly nothing even happened. We'll never know. But look how that worked out.
That's always how it goes. We'll never know.
He ain't even cute no more. Ask him. They'll tell you he ain't cute no more. He ugly now. He look like me now.
Mac, don't do yourself like that. Do not do yourself like that, sir.
Ada, what? Is there something else that stood out to you on this?
Give me 1 second. Let me hop back on. I will say I don't want to push. I want to say this very carefully because I do not mind Carisha Please. I think it has. This isn't me saying it doesn't have its space. I think I am just as someone who obviously, yes, is in the new era of hip hop. I also believe in letting people cook a little bit, letting people like take their time to like actually like affect stuff. And Carisha Please is a very new show. So like I think like having her at 7 like maybe isn't the best place to have her at. Like 20 in the 20s, maybe like a 19 we can talk, because I don't think she's non-influential. Like she has a space. Carisha Please has a space, but I don't think number 7, like there are people who are like a good portion of the list pre her deserves to be higher, in my opinion. And then I'm trying to see. I'm mainly just upset about like you don't put like Big Boy and Funk Master Flex like as high as that. Big Boy at 18 is crazy.
That's the thing. What about geography though? Like, if you look on this as far as like how much of this, because even like Sway, like obviously Sway's the Bay, but that show is based in New York. Everyone comes to New York because whenever you have like a press run, it's walking through the same studio or the same building to different studios.
Right.
But like how many West Coast people are? It's like you got Big Boy, you got I mean Nardwuar is Canada, but it is the West Coast. It's like what, BC, right? So Nardwuar, Big Boy.
I don't know who Math Hoffa is, to be honest.
Math
No clue.
Hoffa's East Coast. He's famous. So battle rapper. I think before the show was most known for punching someone in the face during a battle. I remember that.
Battle rap is that weird part of the culture that I've never really listen to anyone trying that influences on it because it just feels weird to me. I feel like it should be like Mook or something. Then I don't know. Like them dudes matter. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I've watched some
Is
like
battling even hip hop or is that just a white culture?
Yo, Mac, you were just saying stuff right now.
Just asking a question.
Wait, repeat that question real quick.
Max trying to get on the list. Let's go.
Is battling really even hip hop culture anymore, or is that just white people stuff?
Like, when you say battling, do you mean like in general, or do you mean specifically like
Not
acapella battles?
Yeah, acapella battles, like going to a place and being like, "Yo, Bruce, I'm gonna take your glasses off and spruce them up. You don't really want no problems with me, you young pup." Like that's some corny stuff. Like who's doing that?
Max Smith, everyone. Max
You
Smith.
know what I'm saying? And yes, that was a freestyle. But I'm just saying, like for real, like
you didn't have any gun bars. It wasn't real.
oh yeah, I got to bop 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 at the sky.
It has to.
There we go.
If
Yeah, you know what I
you
mean?
cannot go without like any battle rap I've seen. Anyways,
Like
God.
all the like it's weird because like I know tons of black battle rap fans and they're all under the age of 25, right? But like, who's pushing this culture, bro? Like where you yell at other men and stand in their face and act like you're gonna fight, but you never do. And like you touch their baseball cap and turn it around or something and be like, yeah, like who's really pushing this, bro? Like, and why do people find it?
I can't tell you.
And they clearly wrote these lines.
Bro,
I
dude,
know
that's
people
the
who battle.
thing.
But here's the thing. They do say that. Like they're
I
not.
know.
They don't
coming in with
pretend. They don't
papers.
pretend like
I
it's
know.
pre-written.
So basically what
Or
we're
that's
doing
not
is we're
pre-written.
playing the dozens
Yep.
with no beat in front of a musty crowd. It's always musty. It always looks like it smells like onions in there.
Ilmac, if you're watching, we love you.
I love Ilmac. He's a white guy, and I love him. And he killed it. And now you have all these guys with ridiculous rap names. They all have like a variation of murder in them, and they just want to they just want to scream at each other and be like, "Yo, you so ugly, dog! Ooh, yeah!" And it's like, hold on, and the crowd's like, "Yeah!" Like, hold on, and they repeat themselves like 16 times, right? It's like, what are we doing? What are we really? I don't understand what part of hip hop that is. I grew up in hip hop. I grew up in New York City. I listened to hip hop my whole life. I don't know what this is. I don't know where it came from. I know where it came from. I don't understand how it got to where it is, because like when I was like young, we'd be at house parties. Somebody would put a hot beat on. Somebody would start rapping on it. They would diss somebody else, and before you know it, someone's switching the beats out, and we're dissing each other over the beats. But you had to hop on a beat, bro. You don't get to spend 6 weeks researching my life. I heard your mom's name Brenda. She been on a long bender. Ooh, you know what I mean? Like,
not the Brenda Bender.
I'm just
Mac,
saying.
you're dropping dimes. Whoa.
I'm just saying.
You're gonna have to make people pay for this one.
What is this culture? Because it's not one I recognize. It's just not. And I grew up in Portland where there's plenty of battle rappers that have gone international. And they go to Germany to battle rap other people, which should tell you straight up it's not hip hop culture. If you gotta go to Germany to do it.
Why you got motherfuckers going to Germany? Yo, no, I agree. I feel like for all the innovations in hip hop, like everything that has been happening, the fact that we just have acapella folk yelling at each other doing bro, and they be saying some crazy stuff.
Bro,
like,
they still calling each other like R words.
Yes. They're threatening to. I watched one where it
Making
was
fun
like
of Asian people's eyes.
I saw some shit where it was like someone was making fun of the fact that someone's daughter had died the week before.
Bro.
And I'm like, what is this?
It's not even a game anymore. Like, I'll shoot you in the parking lot. What are we talking about? And they're like, yeah, they just had crazy. They just had wild. You know, they held themselves back. It's like, bro,
it's evil.
I don't know what part of the culture it is where you let somebody talk about your dead kid, bro.
Right.
Because hip hop culture, you get shot. You make a song about somebody's dead kid, you gonna get shot, bro.
That's warfare.
You better move to Canada like Drake do. And hide somewhere else where you can't get shot at. Like, let's just be honest. Like, that's not gonna happen. But I guess that's what happens when the rappers are like from like, you know, Gresham, Oregon, and
Try to talk gang.
right, and they're from Marysville, California. You know, like yeah, I'm the hardest dude out. Like, you're the only black dude in that county. So yeah, you're tough, and your voice sounds like this. So I guess you're just made for battle rapping because you can't stay on a beat.
Oh man.
That's the other thing. All these battle rappers cannot rap on a beat.
Bro, name a hot song by a battle rapper that's not immaculate, bro. Like, it's pretty tough.
Dreams and Nightmares, Meek Mill.
Well, Meek Mill's definitely graduated from being a battle rapper.
Okay, bet.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yes, he used to do it too, and we used to make fun of him.
He used to do it, and he lost in a battle to Drake.
Did he really?
Ooh, yes, he. Yeah.
In an acapella battle?
Yo,
no. Songs. Like,
Yeah.
Like that did happen at that point.
Mac, you almost opened the door there. I thought you were just being like, did he really lose? And I was
no. He definitely got back to back. We all saw that. We all saw that.
I do want to be respectful. We've shot like a whole ESPN show today, and I know you're short on time. So yeah, just ending it by being like, now let me talk about battle rap was genius. So thank you for that.
It is on my mind.
Yeah,
like NAACP.
Before I let you go, because I just want to know, what's happening with WOM? There's a thesis show tonight.
There is.
And yeah, have you got anything to plug before you head out?
I mean, I would just say, We Out Here magazine is going through a lot right now when it comes to transformation. We now have offices, which is really dope, like dope offices, which is really amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a podcast coming out of there soon. I'm definitely trying to really move away, as you may have noticed by the non-activity on the blog. I'm really moving away from the magazine itself, and really just plugging into culture in different ways, as everyone that is plugged in already knows. But look for more shows in more places. Look for more content being created. And look for, more music coming out of the camp that we're working on building. So I would definitely say, keep your eyes peeled. You don't need to go to the website unless you really want to, but to follow us on social media as you have been. And
go to the website anyway, people.
Yeah, you never know what I throw up on there. It'd be some wild stuff.
We're not going to do any negative promotion. Click all the things.
That I'm not doing. I'm not trying to get shot because I don't know if y'all know, but in Portland, I don't know about Chicago or New York or anywhere else, but in Portland, 51% of the people murdered are black men. So I'm trying to keep my numbers down.
Oh, man. Well, yeah. Max Smith, thank you. Thank you again. We have, the numbers first take. Numbers first things first. Numbers.
You need a name for this, Bruce. We need a name for this.
Sure. It's coming.
The most dangerous.
Oh, that's right. Misery Loves Company, working title. At least until the Blazers get good, then we gotta figure something else out.
A shout out to Shaden, a shout out to Dame, and shout out to my guy Nurk, even though he takes all the slander.
That's right.
Yusuf
Nurkic, if you're watching, don't. The fan base is horrible. Just keep doing your thing, and I'm glad you got paid.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a wrap.